Chapter 3283. Godly Image Avatar? Duan Lingtian frowned slightly. Sister Water. What's that? I can't explain it in a short time. You'll know once you've refined the pine willow divine tree's vitality and formed your godly image avatar, the world-cleansing divine tree replied. Duan Lingtian nodded. How do I refine the pine willow divine tree's vitality? Duan Lingtian asked again. If you were to refine it normally, even if you were to neglect food and sleep, it would still take you at least 10 years. Of course, there is a place that can help you completely refine it within a year. Duan Lingtian nodded. What's that? Duan Lingtian's eyes lit up. He was only 3 years away from his battle with Han Yunjin. For this reason, he could not refine the pine willow divine tree's vitality through normal means. The title temple. The world-cleansing divine water replied. Duan Lingtian was stunned when he heard the world-cleansing divine water's words. Duan Lingtian's mind wandered back to the 6 southeastern regions at the border of the spirit overarching heaven's southern heaven territory. Duan Lingtian had heard about the tidal temple and learned that celestial lords and celestial emperors had to go to the tidal temple to obtain a title. For example, in the Thousand Tribulations sword sect in the Jade Emperor Heaven's Nan Do territory, there were a few people whose strength was comparable to titled celestial emperors. However, none of them had gone to the tidal temple to obtain a title. A titled celestial lord is much more powerful than an ordinary celestial lord. To become a titled celestial lord, a celestial lord has to go to the tidal temple, one of the most sacred and mysterious forces in the Devata realms. Then, they'll have to join 9 other celestial lords who want to obtain a title. Among the 10 celestial lords who want to obtain a title, the tidal temple will bestow a title on the last surviving celestial lord. After that, the tidal temple will record the celestial lord's name in the celestial lord's record and announce it to the entire Devata realms. It's impossible for an ordinary celestial lord to stand out among the 10 celestial lords who want to be conferred a title. For this reason, the celestial lords who are conferred titles by the tidal temple are all outstanding celestial lords. Not only that, but they're also monstrous figures. He had heard these words when he was still at the border of the spirit overarching heaven's southern heaven territory. At that time, he learned that there was a force in the Devata realms that was more powerful than the heavenly emperor's force. Tidal temple. The tidal temple is the most sacred and mysterious force in the Devata realms. It's a force that never participates in any disputes, but it's the most terrifying force in the Devata realms. In the history of the Devata realms, there were some forces that stood at the peak of the Devata realms who wanted to challenge the tidal temple. However, in the end, all of them were annihilated and disappeared from the history of the Devata realms. The tidal temple is located in all 81 Devata realms. Each Devata realm has a tidal temple branch. To become a titled celestial lord or a titled celestial emperor, one has to go to the tidal temple and pass the life and death test to obtain the tidal temple's approval. When Duan Lingtian was still in the 6 southeastern regions, he had learned that there were at least 10 celestial lords who wanted to challenge the tidal temple. In the past, there were more than 10 heavenly emperors in the Devata realms who wanted to challenge the tidal temple. However, all of them died in the end. Apart from that, the tidal temple had been around since the Devata realms were founded. It was said that as the oldest force in the Devata realms, the tidal temple had many powerhouses who were stronger than 10 Directions celestial emperors. Sister Water, I heard the tidal temple has something to do with a supreme powerhouse? Duan Lingtian asked curiously. He remembered that the chaos divine flame, the profound divine metal, and the chaos divine earth had told him about the mysterious tidal temple. They had told him that there was a supreme expert in the tidal temple. Yes, it's related. The world-cleansing divine water said. Not only that, but the tidal temple is also a transcendental force that was established by that powerhouse. As expected, Duan Lingtian took a deep breath before he asked, Sister Water, how will the tidal temple help me refine the pine willow divine tree's vitality and consolidate my godly image phenomenon within a year? You'll have to participate in the life and death test to become a titled celestial lord. The world-cleansing divine water said, to become a titled celestial lord in the tidal temple, you'll have to compete with 9 other celestial lords in a secret realm. There are many tests in the secret realm that are extremely stressful and contain the will of a supreme powerhouse. In that secret realm, you'll be able to refine the pine willow divine tree's vitality much faster. Based on the world-cleansing divine water's words, it was clear she was familiar with the trials in the tidal temple. Duan Lingtian was not surprised by the world-cleansing divine water's reaction. After all, the world-cleansing divine water had been in the realms of gods for a long time. It was only natural that the world-cleansing divine water knew a lot about the realms of gods and the tidal temples. With your current strength, it won't be difficult for you to become a titled celestial lord. However, the most important thing is to refine the pine willow divine tree's vitality and consolidate your godly image phenomenon within a year, the world-cleansing divine tree said. Duan Lingtian nodded. Understood. Duan Lingtian nodded. After Huan woke up from her cultivation, Duan Lingtian called out to Su Lang, the verdant prairie celestial emperor. Teacher, I'd like to go to the tidal temple. Duan Lingtian did not beat around the bush as he looked at Su Lang. You want to become a titled celestial lord? Su Lang asked.
Yes.
Duan Lingtian nodded. Although he was not going to the tidal temple to become a titled celestial lord, it would be difficult for him to explain the matter of the pine willow divine tree's godly image phenomenon. If he said he wanted to become a titled celestial lord, it would not arouse suspicion. In fact, with your strength, it'll be easy for you to become a titled celestial lord. After all, it's just a title. It's enough to scare people off in a small place, but it's nothing in a heaven-grade force. Based on Su Lang's words, it was clear he did not support Duan Lingtian's decision to become a titled celestial lord in the tidal temple. Moreover, the test to become a titled celestial lord in the tidal temple takes 6 months to 2 years. It's a waste of time for you to become a titled celestial lord. It's better for you to cultivate and prepare for your battle with Han Yunjin in 3 years, Su Lang said. Duan Lingtian nodded. Teacher, I'm not afraid of Han Yunjin. I'm confident I'll be able to defeat him now, let alone 3 years later. Duan Lingtian knew it was time for him to brag about his strength to reassure Su Lang. Otherwise, Su Lang would think that he was just wasting his time by going to the tidal temple. Oh. As expected, Su Lang was slightly surprised to hear Duan Lingtian's words. Teacher, please tell me where the tidal temple is. I want to see it for myself. Duan Lingtian said. All right, since you want to see it, I'll take you there. When Su Lang saw Duan Lingtian seemed to have made up his mind, he no longer tried to persuade him. Instead, he said he would bring Duan Lingtian to the tidal temple. I'll ask your senior brothers and sisters if they're interested in becoming a celestial lord. If they're interested, we can go together. As Su Lang spoke, he sent out a series of voice transmissions. Naturally, none of the voice transmissions were sent to Duan Lingtian's second senior brother, Lu Ji. He only sent them to Hu Mei, Wan Ouyang Chi Fei, and Hong Fei. After all, they were the only celestial lords among Su Lang's 7 disciples. Just for fun? Duan Lingtian's lips twitched when he heard Su Lang's words. How could Su Lang say that the trial to become a celestial lord was just for fun when he was a titled celestial emperor? Naturally, Duan Lingtian knew Su Lang only dared to say this because his senior brothers and sisters were strong enough to become celestial lords. Your 6th senior brother, Hong Fei, didn't reply. I think he's cultivating in seclusion. It seems like you've given him quite a shock. Su Lang shook his head and said with a smile. Your 5th senior brother said he's not going as well. Su Lang said, however, your 3rd senior sister and 4th senior sister said they'll go with us. As soon as Su Lang finished speaking, 2 beautiful figures appeared in front of Duan Lingtian. One of them was a red-clad woman with a voluptuous figure, and the other was a gentle and beautiful woman. They were none other than Duan Lingtian's 3rd senior sister, Hu Mei, and 4th senior sister, Wan. Little junior brother, I heard from teacher that you want to go to the tidal temple to have some fun. Coincidentally, your 4th senior sister and I haven't gone to obtain a celestial lord's title yet. Let's join the fun, Hu Mei said with a faint smile as she winked at Duan Lingtian. Little junior brother, sister Huan. When Huan greeted Duan Lingtian and Huan at the same time. With 3rd senior sister and 4th senior sister tagging along, the trip won't be boring. Duan Lingtian said with a smile. Sister Huan, with your strength, it won't be difficult for you to obtain a title. Why don't you try and obtain a title as well? Hu Mei suggested as she looked at Huan with a smile on her face. All right, Huan replied. Huan nodded indifferently. It seemed like she still held a grudge against Hu Mei. The title temple is quite a distance away from the heavenly pool palace. However, with me leading the way, we should be able to arrive in 2 days. As soon as Su Lang finished speaking, a sword ray appeared beneath his feet and lifted Duan Lingtian and the others up. In just a blink of an eye, they left the place where Su Lang was cultivating. Swoosh! The sword ray tore through the air and left the heavenly pool palace in just a blink of an eye. At the same time, Duan Lingtian glanced to his left and right. He could see the scenery and his surroundings receding at an extremely fast speed. It was so fast that he could not even see clearly. How fast? Duan Lingtian exclaimed in surprise. Although Su Lang's speed was fast, Duan Lingtian and the others who were standing on top of the sword ray were able to maintain their balance. Moreover, Su Lang's energy was able to keep the wind at bay. It did not affect Duan Lingtian and the others at all. Chapter 3284. There was a title temple in every Devata realm, and all of them were located in the central territory of the Devata realm. For example, the Boundless Heavens title temple was located in the Boundless territory, just like the Heavenly Pool Palace. The only difference was that it was quite a distance away from the Heavenly Pool Palace. The title temple was located in the western part of the Boundless territory. It was located in a barren desert that stretched as far as the eye could see. Due to the lack of spirit energy here, very few people would come here. The title temple is right in front of us. Su Lang's calm voice rang in Duan Lingtian's ears when he discovered the sword ray beneath his feet had slowed down. As soon as Su Lang's words left his mouth, a palace that stood in the middle of a boundless desert appeared before Duan Lingtian's eyes. It was as though a gigantic beast was crouching there. It was visually stunning. Duan Lingtian thought to himself that this was his first time seeing such a huge palace since he came to the mundane realm. Not only did it occupy a vast area, but it was also terrifyingly tall. Although he was still far away from the palace, he was still shocked by the sight of it. In fact, as soon as he saw the palace, he felt as though his heart and soul had resonated with it. It was as though he had just been baptized. The rumors are true. There's a terrifying spiritual energy in the title temple, Hu Mei exclaimed as she looked at the title temple. Hu Mei looked at the title temple from afar and exclaimed, "Just now, when I first saw it, I felt as if my heart and soul had been baptized." Me too. When Wan chimed in. Upon hearing Hu Mei and Wen Wan-er's words, Duan Lingtian knew he was not the only one who felt that way. Of course, Su Lang said. At this moment, Su Lang spoke up. There's no way to trace the history of the title temple. It has been around for too long. Most people know about it. It seems to have existed since the Devata realms existed. The title temple has been passed down for countless generations, and it has a supreme position in the Devata realms. Even the forces of heavenly emperors have to show it respect. Su Lang said. Duan Lingtian already knew what Su Lang said, so he wasn't surprised. Duan Lingtian looked around and saw a few figures flying in from all directions. It was obvious these people were also making their way to the title temple like them. Su Lang. All of a sudden, a loud and energetic voice rang out. In the next moment, Duan Lingtian saw a swift figure whizzing over from afar. In the blink of an eye, the figure was in the void not far from where they were. There was not only one person, there were two of them. One was a tall and sturdy old man in a loose blue robe, and the other was a thin young man in a brocade robe holding a folding fan. The one who had just spoken was the old man. Zhang Yui. Seeing the old man, Su Lang raised his eyebrows and greeted him. He then looked at the young man beside the old man and asked, "Is this the disciple you took in 100 years ago?" "Not bad." The old man nodded with a bright smile on his face. "This time, I brought this useless disciple of mine to participate in the test to become a titled celestial lord. Although he's not even 400 years old, he's already strong enough to pass the test and become a titled celestial lord." The old man's face was filled with pride when he spoke. Su Lang, as far as I know, your youngest disciple is more than 600 years old, but he's barely strong enough to pass the test to become a titled celestial lord, right? The old man took a deep look at Su Lang and asked with a deep meaning behind his words. Are you talking about my sixth disciple, Hong Fei? Yes, he's more than 600 years old, and he's barely strong enough to pass the test to become a titled celestial lord. Su Lang nodded. He didn't come? The old man glanced at Duan Lingtian and the others before looking away. Based on his words, it was clear he knew Hong Fei. Yes, he didn't come. Su Lang nodded. Then, which disciple are you accompanying to participate in the test to become a titled celestial lord? The old man asked again. My third disciple, my fourth disciple, my seventh disciple, and my seventh disciple's cultivation partner, Su Lang replied. When Su Lang introduced Huan as Duan Ling Tian's Dao companion, Huan calm face flushed with a rare blush. However, due to her veil, nobody noticed it. Your seventh disciple? The old man frowned slightly. You have another disciple? The old man asked as he glanced at Duan Lingtian and Huan before he asked, which one of them is your seventh disciple? Him. Su Lang glanced at Duan Lingtian before he smiled and introduced his seventh disciple to Duan Lingtian. Old seventh, this is Zheng Yu, the Copper Mountain Celestial Emperor. He's an old friend of mine. A hint of mockery could be seen on Su Lang's face when he said the words old friend. Yes. Duan Lingtian nodded. Zheng Yu, this is my youngest disciple, Duan Lingtian. Then, Su Lang introduced Duan Lingtian to the old man. How old is your youngest disciple? The old man asked. He knew that Su Lang's disciples were ranked according to the time they entered the sect. Therefore, in his opinion, even if the purple-clothed youth in front of him was just a small disciple of Su Lang's, he should be very old. At the very least, Su Lang's youngest disciple was older than him. He's more than 200 years old. Su Lang smiled. More than 200 years old? The old man was taken aback by Su Lang's words. Even the young man standing next to the old man, Su Lang's disciple, turned to look at Duan Lingtian with a piercing gaze. Su Lang, I didn't expect you to exaggerate after not seeing you for more than 100 years. The old man shook his head and chuckled. Exaggerate? Su Lang glanced at the old man indifferently. You don't believe my youngest disciple is only 200 years old? He's only 200 years old, but he's already strong enough to pass the test and become a titled celestial lord. Even in the boundless heaven, there are only a handful of people like him, right? How could such a genius take a liking to you and become your disciple? A mocking smile appeared on the old man's face when he reached the end of his sentence. Senior Uncle Zhang. This time, before Su Lang could say anything, Hu Mei spoke first with a bright smile on her face. Why don't you just ask your friends in the Heavenly Pool Palace if my little junior brother is only 200 years old? Oh, right. Remember, his name is Duan Lingtian. It was obvious Hu Mei knew the old man as well. Hu Mei, you must know that your teacher is my only friend in the Heavenly Pool Palace. That's why you said that, right? Zhang Yui glanced at Hu Mei and said with a low snort, Brat, do you dare to place your hand on this formation compass? Zheng Yui said as he tossed a formation compass to Duan Lingtian. At the same time, he looked at Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian glanced at the formation disk, and he saw that there was a total of 10 regions on the formation disk that revolved 360 degrees to form a large circle. Little junior brother, this is a formation compass used to test one's age. As long as you place your hand on it, it'll show your age. There are 10 regions, and each region represents 200 years old. Hu Mei's voice transmission entered Duan Lingtian's ears in a timely manner. Naturally, it's only a rough estimate. There's no way to determine the specifics. As soon as Hu Mei finished speaking, Duan Lingtian placed his hand on the formation compass. As soon as Duan Lingtian's hand touched the formation compass, a surge of energy surged out of the formation compass and enveloped his hand. HM? At this moment, Duan Lingtian discovered a chilling aura surging out of the formation compass and into every inch of his body. When this cold aura passed through his body and returned to the array disk, 2 areas on the array disk lit up. The third section lit up faintly as well. This meant Duan Lingtian was more than 200 years old. He's really not even 300 years old? Upon seeing this, Zhang Yue frowned slightly as he put the formation compass away. He did not expect Su Lang's youngest disciple to be less than 300 years old. Su Lang, did you say your youngest disciple is here to participate in the test for titled Celestial Lords as well? Is he capable of passing the test at such a young age? Zhang Yue asked skeptically. How can my disciple fail to pass the test for titled Celestial Lords? Su Lang smiled faintly. As soon as Su Lang finished speaking, the young man standing next to Zhang Yue suddenly stepped forward and looked at Duan Lingtian with piercing eyes as he said in a deep voice, I, Nan Lu Feng, challenge you. Zhang Yue was taken aback when he saw this. Obviously, it was not his idea for his disciple to challenge Duan Lingtian. However, he had no intention of stopping Nan Lu Feng. Instead, he looked at Su Lang and said with a faint smile on his face, Su Lang, aren't you very confident in your youngest disciple? I'm sure you don't mind my incompetent disciple challenging him now, right? Zhang Yue, I advise you to persuade your disciple. Su Lang frowned slightly. Although he did not know how strong Zhang Yue's disciple was, he was certain Zhang Yue was not as strong as Duan Lingtian. Senior Uncle Zhang, I don't think it's necessary. At this moment, Hu Mei shook her head and said to Zhang Yue, What? You don't dare to accept the challenge? Zhang Yue smiled brightly. If you don't dare to challenge him, just say so. It's not like we have to force you to do something you don't want to do. It's not that it's not difficult, but I'm afraid it'll be embarrassing for you. Hu Mei shook her head when she saw Zhang Yue was being stubborn. Embarrassing? Upon hearing Hu Mei's words, Zhang Yue's expression changed drastically. Zhang Yue's disciple, Nan Lu Feng, had a grave expression on his face. Brat, make your move. Nan Lu Feng took a step forward. His robes fluttered in the wind as his celestial origin energy surged out of his body and transformed into lightning bolts that surrounded him. At the same time, his hair began to dance wildly. At this moment, the gaze he shot at Duan Lingtian was extremely cold. Chapter 3285. Little junior brother, please show some mercy. Hu Mei glanced at Duan Lingtian and said helplessly, Senior Uncle Zhang and teacher might be at odds when they meet, but they've been friends for many years. All right. Duan Lingtian nodded. Nan Lu Feng was even more enraged when he heard Hu Mei's words to Duan Lingtian. Lightning surged out of his body and surrounded him as though he had transformed into a god of lightning. Come here, brat. Nan Lu Feng leaped into the air as the sound of wind and thunder reverberated in the air. The purple lightning around him looked like purple pythons that were baring their fangs and brandishing their claws. Duan Lingtian shook his head when he saw this. Then, he teleported and vanished from where he was standing. When he reappeared, he was not far away from Nan Lu Feng. Teleportation? Zhang Yue narrowed his eyes slightly. He looked at Su Lang in surprise. Su Lang, I didn't expect you to accept a disciple who has comprehended the law of space. However, the law of space is one of the 4 supreme laws. It's extremely difficult to comprehend it. Your disciple is not even 300 years old. I'm afraid he hasn't comprehended 2 profundities from the law of space to the mastery stage, right? Zhang Yue voiced his guess. 2 profundities? Su Lang was taken aback when he heard Zhang Yue's words. However, he quickly shook his head and said, We'll see. Meanwhile, Nan Lu Feng stared at Duan Lingtian with a dark expression on his face as he said in a deep voice, Brat, I'd like to see how strong you are when you're not even 300 years old. If you can't even defeat me, don't embarrass yourself by entering the Tidal Temple. You might even lose your life. Nan Lu Feng said. Make your move. Duan Lingtian said indifferently as he looked at Nan Lu Feng. From the beginning until the end, Duan Lingtian's calm expression made Nan Lu Feng feel as though Duan Lingtian did not take him seriously at all. This made Nan Lu Feng even more furious. Humph! After letting out a cold snort, Nan Lu Feng made his move. Lightning shot out from all over his body, like serpents of lightning that flew in all directions in a menacing manner. Even though Nan Lu Feng did not think that the purple-robed young man before him was a match for him, he still went all out in his attack. Other than the fact that he did not use his immortal artifact, he did not hold back at all. He was prepared to gain the initiative by striking first in terms of momentum and suppressing his opponent. That's all you got? When Nan Lufeng charged towards him, Duan Lingtian was certain that Nan Lufeng was not even as strong as Lu Jian, whom he had killed earlier. Whoosh! With a flash, Duan Lingtian appeared in the air above South Willow Peak. With a thought, a huge spatial prison enveloped South Willow Peak. Humph! Do you think you can trap me? Nan Lufeng let out a cold laugh when he noticed this. Then, he changed the direction of his thunderous energy and continued to bombard Duan Lingtian. However, he was dumbfounded in the next moment. This was because he discovered that when his attack landed on the spatial prison trembled slightly as though it would shatter at any moment. However, even after a period of time had passed, the spatial prison did not show any signs of collapsing. It was as though the spatial prison was merely an illusion. Let's end this, Duan Lingtian said indifferently. Then, he unleashed all the profundities from the law of space that he had comprehended to the mastery stage. Buzz, 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 buzz. 9 cross-dimensional profundities shot out from the spatial cracks and charged at Nan Lufeng. At the same time, an extremely powerful burst of spatial energy collided with Nan Lufeng's attack and crushed it in all directions. Explode. As soon as Duan Lingtian spoke, the magnetic storm profundities from the law of space exploded and shattered Nan Lufeng's attack. Boom! The terrifying power of the 9-dimensional slash streaked across Nan Lufeng's body, leaving behind 9 wounds that were neither too deep nor too shallow. Then, it landed on his body and sent him flying. Bang! A loud noise rang in the air as Nan Lufeng was sent flying. His figure staggered as he spat out a mouthful of blood. When he looked at Duan Lingtian again, his eyes were filled with terror. He never would have thought that this young man, who was even younger than him, would actually possess such terrifying strength. Based on the profundities from the law of space, Duan Lingtian had comprehended to the mastery stage. Apart from the teleportation profundity, Duan Lingtian seemed to have comprehended all 7 profundities from the law of space to the mastery stage. As for Nan Lufeng's teacher, Zheng Yue, the Copper Mountain Celestial Emperor, he was dumbfounded. How did Su Lang's new disciple, who was not even 300 years old, comprehend 7 profundities from the law of space to the mastery stage? Moreover, it was highly likely that Duan Lingtian had comprehended the teleportation profundity to the mastery stage as well. It was just that he did not have the opportunity to use it yet. Zheng Yue felt a burning sensation on his face when he recalled what he had said to Su Lang earlier. It was as though he had been slapped a few times. A slap in the face. It was too humiliating. Zheng Yue's eyes were filled with jealousy when he looked at Su Lang. He glared at Su Lang and cursed, "Su Lang, you did this on purpose, didn't you?" On purpose? Su Lang was taken aback. Then, he shook his head and smiled. Why would you say that? My 3rd disciple and I didn't advise your disciple to spar with my 7th disciple, right? On the contrary, you and your 3rd disciple didn't seem to believe in my 7th disciple's strength and insisted on sparring with him. Su Lang shook his head when he finished speaking. Zheng Yue was taken aback when he heard Su Lang's words. Then, he recalled what had happened earlier. It seemed like Su Lang was right. Su Lang and his 3rd disciple had advised him and his disciple not to spar. However, they had thought Su Lang and his 3rd disciple were deliberately mystifying things, so they had ignored them. Now that the results were out, they realized Su Lang and his 3rd disciple were not deliberately mystifying things. The young man, Duan Lingtian, who was not even 300 years old, was indeed strong enough to crush his disciple. Lufeng, aren't you going to thank your senior brother Duan for sparing your disciple's life? Zheng Yue took a deep breath before he regained his senses. He glared at Nan Lufeng and said coldly, in the past, he found this disciple pleasing to the eye no matter how he looked at him. He couldn't even bear to speak loudly to him. However, now that he saw a young man who was even younger than his disciple easily defeat his disciple, he instantly felt that his disciple was useless and didn't give him any face. Naturally, he knew Nan Lufeng, who was Su Lang's 7th disciple, would be considered a monstrous prodigy even in the Devata realms. Thank you for sparing my disciple's life, Senior Brother Duan. Although Nan Lufeng was arrogant, he was still very respectful to those who were stronger than him. Most importantly, this person who was stronger than him was younger than him, which made him respect him even more. Su Lang is really lucky, Zhang Yui thought to himself. As Zhang Yui thought about it, he couldn't help but glance at Su Lang with jealousy. He asked, Su Lang, where did you get this seventh disciple from? Are you talking about Duan Lingtian? He came to participate in the Heavenly Pool Palace's recruitment test. I took a liking to him even before he joined the Heavenly Pool Palace. Su Lang replied. Zhang Yui almost threw up blood when he heard Su Lang's words. If Su Lang had said he had put in a lot of effort to recruit Duan Lingtian, Zhang Yui might have felt better. However, Su Lang's words made it seem as though Duan Lingtian had delivered himself to his doorstep. Why was he not as lucky as Duan Lingtian? Come, let's enter the Tidal Temple. Su Lang beckoned to Duan Lingtian and the others before he led Duan Lingtian and the others into the Tidal Temple. Upon seeing this, Zhang Yui and his disciple, Nan Lufeng, followed suit. Teacher, are there celestial emperors obtaining titles in the Tidal Temple all the time? Duan Lingtian asked Su Lang.
Yes.
Su Lang nodded. Indeed, there are celestial lords working hard to obtain titles in the Tidal Temple. However, celestial emperors have to wait for a while before they can obtain a title. This is because there aren't many celestial emperors who want to obtain a title. As for celestial lords, there are many of them. The trials in the Tidal Temple aren't limited to just one Devata realm. For example, you'll have to face people from the boundless heaven and other Devata realms. Upon hearing Su Lang's words, Duan Lingtian understood his competitors would be from the other Devata realms. Su Lang continued to say, generally speaking, those who dare to obtain a title are mostly 10 directions celestial lords, 9 palaces celestial lords, or 8 trigrams celestial lords. However, they're not confident in their strength. Similarly, the laws they've comprehended are mediocre as well. Even if he's only a 1 basic celestial lord, it's not impossible for him to obtain the title of celestial lord. Su Lang paused for a moment before he looked at Duan Lingtian and continued to say, don't think that your opponents in the Heavenly Pool Palace have comprehended profundities to the mastery stage even though they're young. That's because he's a genius disciple from the Heavenly Pool Palace. The Heavenly Pool Palace is a heaven-grade force in the boundless heaven. He's already considered one of the top geniuses in the boundless heaven. There are many 10 directions celestial lords out there who haven't even comprehended a profundity to the mastery stage of the law he's proficient in. Of course, there are also those who have comprehended 1 or 2 profound meanings to the greater mastery stage. Duan Lingtian fell into deep thought after hearing Su Lang's words. According to Su Lang, a titled celestial lord could be a 1 basic celestial lord or a 10 directions celestial lord. 1 basic celestial lords among the titled celestial lords had comprehended extremely powerful laws. Therefore, they were not necessarily weaker than some 10 directions celestial lords among the titled celestial lords. Chapter 3286. Under Su Lang's lead, they made their way to the Tidal Temple. Duan Lingtian could clearly feel the oppressive aura growing stronger the closer they got to the Tidal Temple. Those below the Celestial Lord realm who have comprehended no profundities won't be able to withstand the oppressive aura and enter the Tidal Temple. Duan Lingtian thought to himself. This oppressive aura not only pressed down on his body, it also pressed down on his soul. Su Lang couldn't help him resist it. At this moment, apart from Duan Lingtian, Huan Hu Mei, and Wan Er's expressions were solemn as well. The test to become a titled celestial lord isn't divided into groups of 10. Instead, a group of people will enter the same place, and only 1 out of 10 will survive. Before they entered the Tidal Temple, Su Lang began to explain to Duan Lingtian the details of the test to become a titled celestial lord. In other words, all of you will appear in the same place. Naturally, it's almost impossible for all of you to encounter each other. After all, there are celestial lords from various Devata realms in the Tidal Temple. All you have to do is kill 9 people and leave the Tidal Temple. Su Lang continued to explain. Apart from that, the Tidal Temple is also a good place to cultivate. If you're at a critical juncture in your cultivation, you can consider breaking through there. Su Lang continued to explain. After listening to Su Lang's explanation, Duan Lingtian and the others arrived at one of the doors in the tidal temple. There were 2 doors in the tidal temple. They were so deep that one could not see the end of them. In front of the 2 doors, there was a spacious stone platform. At this moment, there was not a single person in front of one of the doors. However, there were many people in front of the other door. Some of them entered the tidal temple, while others stopped at the entrance. That's the door that celestial emperors enter when they're trying to obtain a title. Su Lang looked at the empty door and said to Duan Lingtian, "Back then, I entered through this door and participated in the test to become a titled celestial emperor. After that, I became a titled celestial emperor and was listed in the record of titled celestial emperors." The tidal temple had a record of titled celestial emperors and a record of titled celestial lords. The former recorded all titled celestial emperors in the Devata realms, while the latter recorded all titled celestial lords in the Devata realms. Although the record of titled celestial emperors contained many names, it was limited. Therefore, some of the names were recorded in their memory celestial talismans. However, there were too many names recorded in the records of titled celestial emperors. It was impossible for anyone to record their names anywhere. Therefore, the only way to look at the records of titled celestial emperors was to visit the tidal temple. As for this side, it is the door that immortal emperors enter when they pursue titles. Later, you will enter from here. Titled celestial lords who don't wish to enter aren't allowed to enter. If they enter recklessly, they'll definitely die. I don't know about the tidal temples in the other Devata realms, but in the Boundless Heavens tidal temple, there were a few titled celestial emperors who refused to believe in heresy who entered the tidal temple. However, all of them died in the tidal temple, Su Lang said solemnly. Su Lang's expression turned solemn as he spoke. Hence, I can only send all of you up to this point. All of you will have to enter and participate in the test to become a titled celestial lord. As soon as Su Lang finished speaking, Duan Lingtian and the others arrived at the entrance of the tidal temple. At the same time, Zhang Yui, who had just arrived, gave Nan Lufeng some instructions. In the end, Nan Lufeng took the lead and entered the tidal temple. Go on. Su Lang said to Duan Lingtian and the others, "Little junior brother, Sister Huan let's go." Hu Mei held Huan Er's hand as she beckoned to Duan Lingtian and Huan. Then, she followed behind Nan Lufeng and disappeared into the darkness. Huan let's go in as well. Duan Lingtian and Huan walked side by side as they entered the tidal temple. After entering the tidal temple, Duan Lingtian could clearly feel a gentle energy shrouding him and Huan. Then, the energy carried them into the depths of the tidal temple at an extremely fast speed. The gentle energy obscured Duan Lingtian and Huan-er's vision. When they regained their vision, they discovered they were standing on a flight of steps. At this moment, there were many people standing on the steps. "Little junior brother, over here." At this moment, Hu Mei's voice rang in Duan Lingtian's ears. At this moment, he discovered Hu Mei was standing on a flight of steps about 10 meters away. Third senior sister. With that thought in mind, Duan Lingtian made his way over to Huan big brother Lingtian. However, Huan suddenly stopped him. "HM?" Duan Lingtian looked at Huan in confusion. "Big brother Lingtian, this is an illusion," Huan said. As soon as she finished speaking, she narrowed her eyes, and a wave of mental energy swept out in all directions. In an instant, the scene around her changed dramatically. In just a blink of an eye, Duan Lingtian found himself in a great hall. At this moment, the people in the great hall were confused. Even if there were people around them, they did not seem to notice them. "They haven't recovered from the illusion yet," Huan said. "That's a very good idea. I can't believe I didn't see through it." Duan Lingtian sighed. He could not help but ask, "Huan did the illusion have any offensive power?" "No." Huan shook her head. "It's just an illusion to confuse people. It's like a smokescreen. It's only temporary." Third senior sister. At this moment, Duan Lingtian saw Hu Mei standing next to Wan. She was looking at Wan with a frown on her face. It was as though she did not know where to start. Duanling Tian saw his fourth senior sister, when Wan who was usually as gentle as jade, had a twisted expression on her face. It was as though she had encountered something that had caused her emotions to fluctuate. Little junior brother, you're out of the illusion? Hu Mei was surprised to see Duanling Tian and Huan Then, she looked at Wen Wan and said with a bitter smile, fourth junior sister seems to be trapped. Third senior sister, aren't you together? You should be trapped together, right? Duanling Tian asked in confusion. We were together at first. However, when we saw you and Huan standing apart and saw someone trying to harm you, we split up to help you. Hu Mei smiled bitterly. I know a little about illusory techniques, but fourth junior sister seems to have encountered something that caused her to be trapped. Duanling Tian nodded. Then, he looked at Huan and asked, Huan do you have a solution? As soon as Duanling Tian finished speaking, Huan narrowed her eyes and shot 2 rays of white light into Wan body. As soon as the white light entered Wan body, Wan complexion returned to normal. At the same time, she saw Duanling Tian and the others. Little junior brother? Sister Huan third senior sister? Was that an illusion? When Wan finally regained her senses. I've never heard of anyone encountering an illusion after entering the tidal temple. Hu Mei shook her head. You pass. Just as Hu Mei's voice sounded, a cold snort was timely emitted, causing those who were still in the illusion to wake up. Under everyone's watchful eyes, black mist began to gather in the sky above the main hall before it finally transformed into a black-clad woman with a graceful figure. The black-clad woman said coldly as she looked at Duanling Tian and the others coldly, there are so many of you who came to participate in the test, but even the small illusion will take a long time to break out. Some of you won't even be able to break out of the illusion. Are you sure you're here to participate in the test? Humph. I only hope you won't embarrass the tidal temple's boundless branch. As soon as the black-clad woman finished speaking, Duanling Tian and the rest of the people in the main hall felt their vision go dark without any warning before they could even react. Now, I'll send you to the trial ground. Once you kill 9 people in the trial ground, you'll be sent back and be conferred the title of Celestial Lord. At this moment, the black-clad woman's voice rang in Duanling Tian's ears again. After a while, Duanling Tian's eyes lit up again. He discovered he was in a valley with beautiful scenery. The surroundings were filled with the sound of birds chirping and the fragrance of flowers. So this is the trial ground for titled Celestial Lords? Duanling Tian scanned his surroundings. He did not see any signs of life, let alone Huan and the others. Sister Water. Duanling Tian knew he had entered the place the world-cleansing divine water had sent him to. Therefore, he quickly contacted the world-cleansing divine water in his little world. What should I do now? As soon as Duanling Tian finished speaking, the world-cleansing divine water replied, I didn't expect this to be the rule of the trial for titled Celestial Lords. In the past, I heard that only 1 out of 10 titled Celestial Lords would survive the trial. I thought it would be a competition between 10 people. I didn't expect all of you would be thrown into the same secret realm. You'll only be sent out after you've killed 9 people. Duanling Tian continued to say, in this secret realm, which is also the training ground for titled Celestial Lords, there must be some tests left behind by supreme powerhouses. You'll have to find some special tests and pass the tests to absorb the vitality of the Pine Willow Divine Tree. That way, you'll be able to form the godly image phenomenon. You'll have to look around the secret realm, the world-cleansing divine water said. All right. Duanling Tian nodded as he began to scan the valley with his divine consciousness. When he did not find anything special, he rose into the air and left the valley. I wonder where Huan and the others are now? Duanling Tian thought to himself. Celestial lords from 81 Devata realms are gathered here. If you want to get out, there is only one way, and that is to kill 9 celestial emperors. Chapter 3287. Even the world-cleansing divine water was not familiar with the trial grounds of titled celestial lords. All she knew was that it was a secret realm created by a supreme powerhouse, and there were many tests set by the supreme powerhouses. It was a fortuitous encounter for one to encounter any test here. Perhaps one would not be able to obtain any tangible rewards, but it could raise one's cultivation base or improve one's comprehension of profundities. After leaving the valley, Duan Lingtian began to wander around as he used his divine consciousness to search for the test mentioned by the world-cleansing divine water. Time continued to pass. A day passed. 2 days passed. On the 7th day, Duan Lingtian finally saw someone. When that person saw Duan Lingtian, he immediately flew toward Duan Lingtian. Upon seeing this, Duan Lingtian narrowed his eyes. He still remembered that he had to kill 9 celestial lords in order to obtain a title and become a titled celestial lord in the trial of titled celestial lords. Due to this reason, Duan Lingtian was extremely vigilant when he saw the other party charging towards him. Soon enough, the person appeared in front of Duan Lingtian. The person was a handsome young man dressed in a blue robe with golden edges. He was thin and had an extraordinary bearing. With just a glance, one could tell he was not an ordinary person. "Friend, please don't misunderstand. I'm not here to attack you." After the young man arrived near Duan Lingtian, he stopped when he was still a distance away from Duan Lingtian. "I'm here because I want to invite you to enter a trial that I found in the trial grounds with me. This test can only be carried out if there are 5 people." The young man said, "A test?" Upon hearing the young man's words, Duan Lingtian's eyes glinted subtly. Was this not what he was looking for in the trial grounds? In fact, if he could not find a test, he could not be bothered to kill anyone even if they came knocking on his door. To him, obtaining a title was not important. What was important was to find some kind of test in this trial ground. Through the pressure given by the ultimate masters, he could refine the life force of the pine willow divine tree and condense the godly image doppelganger of the pine willow divine tree. At that time, his strength would reach a whole new level. 3 years from now, he would be able to use it to fight Han Yunjin in the Heavenly Pool Palace's Heaven's chosen arena. Why should I believe you? Although Duan Lingtian was pleasantly surprised in his heart, he didn't show it on his face. He faintly asked, "Who knows if you will sneak attack me if I travel with you?" "Friend, it's normal for you to be vigilant. How about this? Since we're going to look for the other 3 people, let's keep a distance and not get close to each other. What do you think?" The young man didn't mind Duan Lingtian's vigilance and cautiousness, and he took the initiative to speak in this way to display his greatest sincerity. "Sure." Duan Lingtian nodded and walked with the young man. Of course, there was a distance between them, and Duan Lingtian was also paying attention to the young man's movements. However, he was very confident in his own strength. However, Duan Lingtian did not want to expose the 5 divine elements since he did not know if anyone would be spying on him in the training ground of titled celestial lords. If someone from the Tidal Temple were to spy on him while he was in the trial grounds, it was highly likely that the Tidal Temple would try to snatch the 5 divine elements from him. After all, the 5 divine elements were extremely tempting even to titled celestial emperors. Although Duan Lingtian did not know the young man's strength, he was certain the young man was not weak. "Friend, how should I address you?" After traveling for 2 days, the young man looked at Duan Lingtian and asked with a smile, "We've known each other for 2 days, but I don't know your name." "My name is Meng Haoxian, and I'm a prodigious disciple from Heavenly Sword Mountain, a heaven-grade force in the solitary destructive heaven." The young man introduced himself. Solitary destructive heaven? Heavenly Sword Mountain, a heaven-grade force? Duan Lingtian would not be surprised if the young man had said he was from another Devata realm or heaven-grade force. However, the young man had said he was from the Heavenly Sword Mountain, a heaven-grade force in the solitary destructive heaven. If Duan Lingtian was not mistaken, Huan Er's biological father was a disciple of the Heavenly Sword Mountain who had been sent to the Heavenly Pool Palace. In fact, Duan Lingtian did not think highly of the Heavenly Sword Mountain. Although he understood the Heavenly Sword Mountain was wary of the Heavenly Emperor of the Boundless Heaven, it was still the same. "I'm Duan Lingtian from the Heavenly Pool Palace." Duan Lingtian replied indifferently, "Heavenly Pool Palace?" Meng Haoxian's eyes widened slightly when he heard Duan Lingtian's introduction. He instinctively asked, "Are you from the Heavenly Pool Palace, the heaven-grade force in the Boundless Heaven?" The Heavenly Sword Mountain, sent someone to the heavenly pool palace. Do you think the heavenly pool palace I'm from is the heavenly pool palace you're talking about? Duan Lingtian asked as he looked at Meng Haoxian meaningfully. Meng Haoxian smiled wryly when he heard Duan Lingtian's words. It seems like you're really from the heavenly pool palace in the boundless heaven. That's right. The heavenly sword mountain sent someone to the heavenly pool palace. Moreover, that person is my first senior brother. Meng Haoxian sighed. His expression was cold as he said hatefully, I don't understand what those old fogies are thinking. All they did was break the engagement with the heavenly pool palace. Why would they send my first senior brother to the heavenly pool palace and be humiliated by them? You're speaking up for your first senior brother? He was the one who broke the engagement, right? Duan Lingtian asked as he looked at Meng Haoxian indifferently. It's the truth. I can't refute it. There's nothing I can do about the heavenly pool palace. If there's anyone to blame, it's the old fogies from the heavenly sword mountain for being cowards. Meng Haoxian shook his head and said, although the palace master of the heavenly pool palace has a close relationship with the heavenly emperor of the boundless heaven, do you think the heavenly emperor of the boundless heaven would come looking for trouble over such a trivial matter? Even if the heavenly emperor of the solitary destructive heaven came looking for trouble, would the heavenly emperor of the solitary destructive heaven just stand by and do nothing? Meng Haoxian looked at Duan Lingtian meaningfully as he said, the heavenly emperor of the boundless heaven might not be a match for the heavenly emperor of the solitary destructive heaven. I heard the heavenly emperor of the solitary destructive heaven was the previous heavenly emperor. After he returned to the solitary destructive heaven, he killed the heavenly emperor who replaced him and reclaimed the position of heavenly emperor. Duan Lingtian might not know much about the heavenly emperors of the other Devata realms, but he was very familiar with the heavenly emperor of the solitary destructive heaven. After all, the heavenly emperor of the solitary destructive heaven was a senior from the Seven Absolutes sect's Fog Rain progeny in the Saint Province realm. Back when he was still in the mundane realm, he had obtained the ancestor's legacy and used the sovereign heart sword to dominate the world. It was not until he ascended to the Devata realms that the strength of the sovereign heart sword could no longer keep up with his strength that he decided to keep the sovereign heart sword a secret. After all, he did not obtain the heavenly emperor's legacy. That's right. Meng Haoxian nodded. His eyes were filled with admiration when he mentioned the heavenly emperor of the solitary destructive heaven. The current heavenly emperor of the solitary destructive heaven is still Lord Feng Qingyang. Feng Qingyang. A hint of nostalgia appeared in Duan Lingtian's eyes when he heard this name again. What's the title of the heavenly emperor of the solitary destructive heaven? Duan Lingtian asked curiously. I don't know what Lord Heavenly Emperor's title is. I've never heard anyone mention it before. Perhaps there is, perhaps there isn't. Meng Haoxian shook his head. However, Lord Heavenly Emperor usually refers to himself as Recluse Yenyu. Recluse Yenyu? Duan Lingtian's eyes widened in shock. It seemed like even after Sword Saint Feng Qingyang had become the heavenly emperor of the solitary destructive heaven, he still remembered the Fog Rain progeny of the Seven Absolutes in the Saint Province realm. Otherwise, why would he refer to himself as Recluse Yenyu? It was obvious the Fog Rain progeny was derived from the Fog Rain progeny of the Seven Absolutes sect. If there's a chance in the future, I'll have to pay a visit to Senior Feng Qingyang in the solitary destructive heaven. After all, it's all thanks to his legacy that I was able to advance so smoothly in the mundane realm. Duan Lingtian had always been a grateful person. For this reason, he hoped he could personally pay a visit to Senior Feng Qingyang to thank him. At the same time, he also wanted to apologize to Senior Feng Qingyang. Perhaps, Senior Feng Qingyang didn't expect the legacy he left in the mundane realm would bring him so much trouble. Fortunately, he came out of the Azura hell. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to live in peace for the rest of my life. When Duan Lingtian thought about how he had caused Senior Feng Qingyang to die in the Azura hell, he could not help but feel guilty. Friend, it seems like you're interested in the heavenly emperor of the solitary destructive heaven. Are you a sword celestial as well? Meng Haoxian asked with a smile. In the solitary destructive heaven, heavenly emperor Feng Qingyang was the idol of 90% of the sword celestials. After all, He was widely acknowledged as an invincible sword celestial in the solitary destructive heaven. In the eyes of the sword celestials in the solitary destructive heaven, there was no sword celestial in the 81 Devata realms who was comparable to their heavenly emperor. It was a form of blind worship. When they learned the heavenly emperor was trapped in the Azura Hell, one of the 7 deadliest places in the Devata realms, although some people thought he was dead, most people were certain he would return. Just like most of the sword celestials in the solitary destructive heaven, Duan Lingtian had returned and killed the heavenly emperor who had replaced him, reclaiming his position as the heavenly emperor of the solitary destructive heaven. He used to be the heavenly emperor, but not now. Duan Lingtian shook his head. When he had first ascended to the spirit overarching heaven, he had relied on the sovereign heart sword that Senior Feng Qingyang had left behind. However, as his cultivation base increased, he gradually fell behind the sovereign heart sword. Friend, the heavenly emperor of the solitary destructive heaven is a legend in the solitary destructive heaven. When Meng Haoxian mentioned Feng Qingyang, the heavenly emperor of the solitary destructive heaven, he excitedly told Duan Lingtian about Feng Qingyang's achievements in the solitary destructive heaven. Duan Lingtian was also interested in Meng Haoxian's story, so he listened patiently. Chapter 3288. Perhaps, Meng Haoxian saw how interested and patient Duan Lingtian was in hearing about the heavenly emperor of the solitary destructive heaven. He had a good impression of Duan Lingtian. Later on, they became even more familiar with each other as they spoke. Brother Lingtian, my eldest senior brother, is imprisoned in the Heavenly Pool Palace's Thousand Chains prison. Do you know anything about his current situation? Perhaps, Meng Haoxian thought he had gotten to know Duan Lingtian better, so he changed the topic and asked tentatively, "The Thousand Chains prison?" Duan Lingtian narrowed his eyes. This was the first time he had heard of such a place in the Heavenly Pool Palace. Even when he tried to find out where Huan Er's parents were imprisoned in the Heavenly Pool Palace, he did not manage to find such a place. He did not dare to ask about those with high statuses in the Heavenly Pool Palace. Those with low statuses did not know anything. In fact, Duan Lingtian had decided to ask Su Leng about this matter after he had stayed in the Heavenly Pool Palace for a while. After all, Su Leng was one of the 9 titled celestial emperors in the Heavenly Pool Palace. He was certain Su Leng would know where Huan Er's parents were imprisoned. Initially, Duan Lingtian thought he would have to wait for Su Leng to reveal the location of Huan Er's parents. He did not expect Duan Lingtian would be able to learn the location of Huan Er's parents from the Heavenly Sword Mountain of the solitary destructive Heavenly Sword Mountain. Are you sure your eldest senior brother is imprisoned in the Thousand Chains prison? Duan Lingtian asked as he looked at Meng Haoxian with glinting eyes. My teacher told me, Meng Haoxian said. My teacher is the Hidden Sword Celestial Emperor from the Heavenly Sword Mountain. People call him the Hidden Sword Old Man, speaking of which, my teacher is acquainted with the Heavenly Emperor of the solitary destructive heaven. A hint of pride could be heard in Meng Haoxian's voice when he finished speaking. Oh. Duan Lingtian looked at Meng Haoxian in surprise. Please tell me more. From his point of view, since Meng Haoxian had said that his teacher had some dealings with Senior Feng Qingyang, it was very likely that Senior Feng Qingyang and Senior Feng Qingyang were friends. Back then, before the Heavenly Emperor became the Heavenly Emperor of the solitary destructive heaven, he challenged sword immortals everywhere. My teacher was defeated by him, Meng Haoxian said. After he finished speaking, Duan Lingtian waited for a while, but he didn't hear his next sentence. You don't tell me that your teacher was defeated by Sky Emperor Feng Qingyang and has no relationship with him? To be able to be defeated by the Lord Heavenly Emperor, we can be considered to have crossed paths, right? Meng Haoxian smiled. Duan Lingtian was speechless. If this was considered as having a connection, then what was he, the successor of the legacy left behind by Feng Qingyang in his hometown, the mundane plane? Just like that, Duan Lingtian and Meng Haoxian traveled for another 2 days before they finally met the third person. The third person was a tall and burly young man dressed in a long gray robe. He had thick eyebrows and large eyes, and he exuded a murderous aura. He did not look like a human at all. He's not human. Meng Haoxian transmitted his voice to Duan Lingtian as he and Meng Haoxian flew toward the burly young man. I can see that. The closer they got, the more Duan Lingtian could feel the murderous aura emanating from the young man. It was not something a human could possess. When the young man saw Duan Lingtian and Meng Haoshuan flying toward him, he did not seem to have any intention of fleeing. Instead, he stood in place and waited for them to come closer. Before Duan Lingtian and Meng Haoshuan could get close, the burly young man snorted coldly and made his move. His arms suddenly shook, and in an instant, an incomparably cold aura spread out in the void, sweeping toward Duan Lingtian and Meng Haoshuan. The law of ice? Duan Lingtian narrowed his eyes when he saw the ice wall that appeared in front of him in just a blink of an eye. He teleported over the ice wall and completely ignored it. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. As for Meng Haoshuan, his entire body was covered in golden sword light. He crashed into the ice wall, and the sword light around him destroyed the ice wall in an instant. He continued to fly toward the burly young man. Not bad. The burly young man looked at Meng Haoshuan in surprise and spoke in a hoarse voice. Only Duan Lingtian had used the law of space's teleportation profound meaning. The burly young man did not know how strong Duan Lingtian was, so he did not pay too much attention to him. However, Meng Haoshuan's attack showed that he was not weak at all. Friend, we have no intention of attacking you. Just as the burly young man was about to attack again, Meng Haoshuan said, we came to look for you because we want to participate in a trial with you. Upon hearing Meng Haoshuan's words, the burly young man stopped what he was doing. However, he was still wary of Meng Haoshuan and Duan Lingtian. Whether it was Duan Lingtian or Meng Haoshuan, they knew this very well. When they were still some distance away from the burly young man, they stopped what they were doing. I'm Meng Haoshuan from the Heavenly Sword Mountain, a heaven-grade force in the solitary destructive heaven. Meng Haoshuan looked at the burly young man and introduced himself to Duan Lingtian. As for this person who came with me, he's from the Heavenly Pool Palace, a heaven-grade force in the boundless heaven. His name is Duan Lingtian. We only met a few days ago. I was the one who discovered the test, and he was the first person I found. Meng Haoshuan said, I'm Ji Xian from the Blood Dragon clan in the 10,000 Beasts Heaven. The burly young man said indifferently, which could be considered a self-introduction. At this moment, both Duan Lingtian and Meng Haoshuan knew their intuition was right. The burly young man was not human. The 10,000 Beasts Heaven was a Devata realm where celestial beasts gathered. It was extremely difficult for humans to enter the 10,000 Beasts Heaven. So you're from the Blood Dragon clan, a heaven-grade force in the 10,000 Beasts Heaven? Friend, are you interested in the trial I mentioned? Meng Haoshuan asked. Sure. Ji Xian nodded. With this, another person joined Duan Lingtian's group. Let's continue to walk around and find 2 more people to participate in the trial, Meng Haoshuan said. The 3 of them continued walking. They maintained a certain distance from each other as they continued to walk around. The Blood Dragon clan? Duan Lingtian asked Meng Haoshuan curiously through voice transmission. I know there are dragons in the 10,000 Beasts Heaven, but what's with the Blood Dragon clan? Brother Lingtian, the Blood Dragon clan is a branch of the Dragon clan. Although it's a branch, it still has 5 titled celestial emperors, and all of them are quite strong. Meng Haoshuan replied through voice transmission. Although they're a branch of the dragons, the relationship between the dragons and the Blood Dragon clan isn't good. It's said that the dragons of the 10,000 Beasts Heaven don't even acknowledge the Blood Dragon clan as dragons. Upon hearing Meng Haoshuan's words, realization dawned on Duan Lingtian. The 3 of them continued to walk around. After another 5 days, they finally found 2 more people who were not from heaven-grade forces. One of them was from a supreme grade 1 force, and the other was a sectless cultivator. After a while, Meng Haoshuan said, since we're all here, let's begin the test. After gathering 5 people, Meng Haoshuan said to Duan Lingtian and the others. Naturally, Duan Lingtian and the others did not object to Meng Haoshuan's suggestion. Now that they had gathered 5 people, they did not deliberately keep a distance from each other. After all, the 5 of them had come to an agreement that if one of them dared to make a move first, the other 4 would attack together. Over there. Under Meng Haoshuan's lead, Duan Lingtian and the others soon arrived at the depths of a lake. There, they saw 5 doors floating at the bottom of the lake. These 5 doors require 5 people to open. Previously, I left behind afterimages in front of the doors as fast as I could, but I still couldn't open them. Ming Haoshuan said, "This is because a person has to stand in front of one of the doors to release a force that shrouds the person standing in front of the door." As soon as Ming Haoshuan finished speaking, he stood in front of one of the doors. Duan Lingtian and the others did not remain idle. They stood in front of the other 4 doors. As soon as the 5 of them stood in front of the doors, the water in the lake began to tremble. In the end, it began to boil. At this moment, if someone were to stand on the surface of the lake, they would definitely see the originally calm surface of the lake begin to boil. At the same time, the 5 doors at the bottom of the lake began to release a force that shrouded the people standing in front of the doors. In the next instant, the 5 of them disappeared from the doors at the same time. Duan Lingtian's vision flickered for a moment before he found himself in a completely sealed space. It was like a small sealed room. His surroundings emitted waves of pressure that pressed down on him like water. He tried to use his celestial origin energy and the law of space to resist the pressure. However, it was useless since the pressure could easily crush his strength. This place is very suitable for you to refine the vitality of the pine willow divine tree. At this moment, the world-cleansing divine water's voice rang in Duan Lingtian's ears. His eyes brightened immediately. "How do I refine it?" Duan Lingtian asked. "Sit down cross-legged. I'll guide the vitality of the pine willow divine tree that the divine tree of life absorbed into your body. At that time, do as I say and refine the vitality." Duan Lingtian nodded. "All right." Duan Lingtian nodded. A moment later, Duan Lingtian was completely shrouded in a layer of white light. The pressure continued to press down on him. Every time it attacked, the white light on the surface of Duan Lingtian's body would be compressed and fused into Duan Lingtian's body. The cycle repeated endlessly. So the vitality of the pine willow divine tree can be refined in this way. How miraculous! It feels like my body is undergoing some changes. Duan Lingtian was intoxicated by the feeling of refining the vitality of the pine willow divine tree. Chapter 3289. Sister Water, what kind of test is this? Duan Lingtian could not help but ask the world-cleansing divine water curiously as he refined the pine willow divine tree's vitality. Just now, as soon as he entered, he appeared in this completely sealed space. Then, waves of pressure attacked him, and this pressure was constantly increasing. However, up until now, the pressure did not seem to have any effect on him. The test must be to withstand the pressure and charge out of the sealed space, the world-cleansing divine water said. However, since you're using the pressure to refine the pine willow divine tree's vitality, there's no need for you to charge out of the sealed space. When you can no longer withstand the pressure, you'll have refined a certain amount of the pine willow divine tree's vitality. It won't be too late for you to leave then. Upon hearing the world-cleansing divine water's words, Duan Lingtian came to a realization. He would not be able to fully refine the pine willow divine tree's vitality in the sealed space for an entire year. It seems like I've been overthinking things. I thought I could refine the pine willow divine tree's vitality in one go, but I didn't expect I'd only be able to refine a portion of it. Duan Lingtian sighed inwardly as he continued to refine the vitality energy from the little world in his body. This was the pine willow divine tree's vitality. As he refined the vitality from the pine willow divine tree, Duan Lingtian could clearly feel his body fusing with the vitality from the pine willow divine tree. He was no stranger to the vitality since he had sensed it from Fan Shi, whom he had killed earlier. Fan Shi was the pine willow divine tree whose vitality had been absorbed by the divine tree of life. Fan Shi had taken human form and was currently cultivating in the heavenly pool palace. I can't wait to see the godly image avatar of the pine willow divine tree. Duan Lingtian did not know much about the godly image avatar. The world-cleansing divine water did not explain much to him as well. All it said was that he would be able to figure it out after he had condensed it. For this reason, Duan Lingtian was very excited to see the godly image avatar of the pine willow divine tree. Sister Water, can I condense the godly image avatar of the divine tree of life? Duan Lingtian asked the world-cleansing divine water curiously. He had also suddenly thought of this question. After all, the divine tree of life in his small world had long since acknowledged him as its master. However, he didn't know if he could use it to form the divine tree of life's Dharma body. If you want to form the godly image Dharma body of the divine tree of life, you must refine all of the life force of the divine tree of life in your small world. Even a supreme master would find it difficult to do that. It should be a restriction of some kind of law. The world-cleansing divine water said, "So, you don't have to think about it. Moreover, even if you can refine the life force of the divine tree of life and condense its avatar, would you dare to use it recklessly? No one dares to touch the divine tree of life in the realms of gods due to the presence of a supreme expert. However, if you possess the godly image avatar of the divine tree of life, many people will know that you've refined the divine tree of life's life force. The divine tree of life is different from ordinary celestial trees. If you refine the life force of an ordinary celestial tree, others won't be able to take it away even if they kill you, since the life force of the divine tree of life will dissipate after you die. However, the life force of the divine tree of life won't dissipate even after you die." Duan Lingtian fell silent after listening to the world-cleansing divine water's words. He did not continue the topic. What a joke! Putting aside the fact that he could not refine the life force of the divine tree of life, even if he could, he had no interest in refining it. If he refined the life force of the divine tree of life, he would be like Tang Sanzang in Journey to the West, a delicious cake that everyone wanted to eat. I wonder how the other four are doing? As Duan Ling Tian continued to refine the pine willow divine tree's vitality, he could feel the pressure around him increasing. However, he knew the other four, including Meng Haoshuan, must be enduring the pressure as they tried to break out of this space. If they couldn't get out of this space, they would be killed by the pressure here. In the boundless heaven, in the heavenly pool palace, senior brother Han Yunjin. Suddenly, an uninvited guest arrived at Han Yunjin's cultivation ground. Han Yunjin was currently cultivating in the profound Heaven Celestial Emperor's sect. Lei Jun. Han Yunjin frowned slightly when he saw the guest. The guest was no stranger to him. He was Lei Ying's only son, the second disciple of the merciless Celestial Emperor, the pavilion master of the Sword Trial Pavilion in the Heavenly Pool Palace. He was slightly puzzled by Lei Jun's visit. After all, he did not have any relationship with Lei Jun. In fact, they could not even be considered friends. Not only that, but Lei Jun's third junior sister was also the woman by the side of his mortal enemy, Duan Ling Tian, 3 years later. Because of that, to a certain extent, Lei Jun was an enemy and not a friend. "Is there a reason you're looking for me?" Han Yunjin asked indifferently as he looked at Lei Jun coldly. "Senior brother Han Yunjin, do you think I'm your enemy?" Lei Jun smiled faintly. "Humph." Han Yunjin scoffed. "Your third junior sister is Duan Lingtian's enemy, so she's my enemy as well. As her second senior brother, aren't you my enemy as well? Don't tell me you're unaware of the life or death battle I'll be having with Duan Lingtian in 3 years?" Han Yunjin stared at Lei Jun intently as he spoke. "Senior brother Han Yunjin, I'm here because of the life or death battle you'll be having with Duan Lingtian in 3 years. Lei Jun smiled faintly. Just as Han Yunjin frowned, Lei Jun continued, "Senior brother Han Yunjin, I'm sure you don't feel confident about the battle in 3 years, right?" At this point, Lei Jun gave Han Yunjin a deep look as if he could see through Han Yunjin's heart. "What a joke!" Han Yunjin sneered. "I'm one of the 5 strongest prodigious disciples in the Heavenly Pool Palace. Do you think I'm afraid of a brat who's not even 300 years old?" "Senior brother Han Yunjin, there's no need for you to say such things in front of me." Lei Jun shook his head. "If I were you, I'd be unsure as well. It's only human nature. After all, if he dares to promise you a battle at the Heaven's favorite battle stage in 3 years, he is either bluffing or he truly has the capability. However, based on my understanding of Duan Lingtian, I don't think he's bluffing. For this reason, you're still at risk. Even I don't know what trump card Duan Lingtian has that'll allow him to kill you in the Prodigy Arena in 3 years' time. However, you have to be careful." Lei Jun paused for a moment before he said meaningfully, "If I'm not mistaken, senior brother Han Yunjin, when you agreed to the life or death battle with Duan Lingtian back then, You were forced to do something beyond your ability. When Lei Jun saw Han Yunjin's expression darkened, he said, "Senior brother Han Yunjin, don't deny it. Don't worry, I'm here to help you." Help me? Han Yunjin raised an eyebrow in surprise. What do you mean? I'm here because I want to work with you to get rid of Duan Lingtian. Lei Jun went straight to the point. A sharp glint flashed across his eyes. Of course, he said this through voice transmission, revealing his cautiousness. Oh? Han Yunjin's interest was piqued when he heard Lei Jun's words. Why do you want to get rid of him? As far as I know, he just joined the Heavenly Pool Palace not long ago. Moreover, he's your junior sister's man. What did he do to offend you? Why do you want to get rid of him? He didn't offend me. I want to get rid of him because I want my third junior sister. As Lei Jun spoke, his eyes were filled with a strong desire. It was a desire to possess. Han Yunjin and Lei Jun exchanged a look. After a while, they were certain Lei Jun was telling the truth. After all, the eyes were the windows to one's soul. It was difficult to lie. Speaking of your third junior sister, although she's wearing a veil, I can tell she's a beauty. It'd be wonderful if I could spend a night with her. Han Yunjin said with a grin. Moreover, I can see that she's still a virgin. It's hard to imagine how Duan Lingtian would be able to restrain himself when he has such a beautiful woman by his side. Senior brother Han Yunjin, be careful with your words. As soon as Han Yunjin finished speaking, Lei Jun glared at him coldly and said in a deep voice, I came to you with sincerity. If you continue to act like this, don't blame me for turning around and leaving. At this moment, Lei Jun had already regarded his third junior sister as his exclusive property. Naturally, he could not stand it when Han Yunjin insulted his third junior sister. I'm just joking. Han Yunjin laughed heartily. At the same time, he confirmed that Lei Jun had taken a liking to Huan Er. What's surprising is that I've never heard anything about you, Lei Jun. I can't believe you've fallen in love with your junior sister, Han Yunjin said. Han Yunjin did not beat around the bush as he asked, Tell me, how do you plan to get rid of him? Ask someone to do it. Lei Jun replied. Ask someone to do it? Han Yunjin frowned. That brat has a titled celestial emperor by his side. It won't be easy for another titled celestial emperor to kill him. Naturally, one titled celestial emperor won't be able to kill him, but what about two titled celestial emperors? Lei Jun asked as he looked at Han Yunjin intently. Two titled celestial emperors? Han Yunjin was taken aback when he heard Lei Jun's words. His eyes widened in shock as he asked, Lei Jun, are you going to ask them to do it? In the Boundless Heavens Boundless Territory, there was a pair of famous assassins who did not belong to any assassin organization. However, they were widely acknowledged as the strongest assassins in the Boundless Heaven. They had never failed a mission. Both of them were titled Celestial Emperors. Naturally, one would have to pay a hefty price to hire them to do it. Chapter 3290. It seems like you've guessed it. Upon seeing Han Yunjin's reaction, Lei Jun knew Han Yunjin had guessed it. That's right. I plan to hire the two of them. However, as you know, I'll have to pay a hefty price to hire the two of them. For this reason, I'm looking for you to share the cost. Lei Jun explained. After all, the price of hiring two titled Celestial Emperors was too high. Otherwise, he would not have exposed his intention to hire assassins to kill Duan Lingtian. Han Yunjin scoffed. It's your business if you want to hire the two titled Celestial Emperors to kill Duan Lingtian. Why should I share the cost of hiring the two titled Celestial Emperors? Since you're not interested, I'll take my leave. Lei Jun sent a voice transmission to Han Yunjin before he turned around and left. After all, I won't be the one fighting Duan Lingtian in 3 years anyway. Wait. Just as Lei Jun was about to leave, Han Yunjin's expression flickered for a moment before he called out to Lei Jun. Indeed, he was not 100% confident he would be able to defeat Duan Lingtian in 3 years. After all, the Duan Lingtian was too strange. Whether it was his battle with Lu Jian in the Prodigy Arena or his battle with his fourth junior brother, Fanchi, no one had thought he would be able to defeat Duan Lingtian. However, he had won in the end. Not only that, but he had also won in a clean and beautiful manner. Who could say for sure that the Duan Lingtian would not continue to create a legend in their duel 3 years later? If he had a choice, he would not take the risk of becoming Duan Lingtian's stepping stone. What's wrong? Have you changed your mind? Lei Jun turned around and looked at Han Yunjin meaningfully. You have to think about it carefully. It's not cheap to hire the two titled celestial emperors to kill Duan Lingtian. You might not be able to afford it alone. It seems like you really want to kill Duan Lingtian. You're actually thinking of hiring the two titled celestial emperors to kill Duan Lingtian, Han Yunjin said in a deep voice. Is it worth it for a woman? Lei Jun faintly said, as long as he's dead. It's worth it no matter how big the price is. Duan Lingtian's talent and comprehension ability shocked him, and he even felt a sense of danger. He had comprehended all the profundities of the law of space before he was 300 years old. Even if his cultivation was a little weak now, his strength was still not to be underestimated. Not to mention waiting for Duan Lingtian to continue growing. Even the current Duan Lingtian did not dare to say that he could definitely defeat him. After all, Duan Lingtian dared to challenge Han Yunjin to a duel to the death 3 years later. Even he didn't dare to challenge Han Yunjin to a duel of life and death. Because of this, he knew that if he didn't get rid of the Duan Lingtian now, he wouldn't have the chance to kill the Duan Lingtian once the Duan Lingtian grew. At that time, he could only watch helplessly as his third junior sister really became Duan Lingtian's woman. That was not something he wanted to see. Even if we join forces and pay a high price to hire the two titled Celestial Kings, they won't be able to kill Duan Lingtian if he hides in the Heavenly Pool Palace, Han Yunjin said. Based on his words, it was clear he was willing to work with Lei Jun to hire the two titled Celestial Emperors to kill Duan Lingtian. The Heavenly Pool Palace was a heaven-grade force. It was not a place that could be easily breached. If the two titled Celestial Emperors dared to enter the Heavenly Pool Palace, they would be killed by the joint forces of the Heavenly Pool Palace's titled Celestial Emperors before they could even see Duan Lingtian. For this reason, if Duan Lingtian did not leave the Heavenly Pool Palace, even the two titled Celestial Emperors would not be able to kill Duan Lingtian. Of course, I've thought of this. Lei Jun smiled faintly. If Duan Lingtian is still holed up in the Heavenly Pool Palace, I wouldn't have come to you about this matter. Based on what I know, he's heading to the Tidal Temple with Su Lang, the Verdant Prairie Celestial Emperor. It seems like he's planning to obtain a title. Lei Jun's eyes flashed coldly as he continued to say, as long as the two titled Celestial Emperors stop them on their way back, one of them will hold Su Lang back while the other kills Duan Lingtian. Do you think there will be any suspense? He went to the Tidal Temple? Han Yunjin was taken aback. He did not expect the young man whom he had agreed to fight 3 years later would go to the Tidal Temple instead of staying in the Heavenly Pool Palace to cultivate and wait for the battle to come. Lei Jun, how did you contact the two seniors? Han Yunjin asked without any hesitation after learning that Duan Lingtian was not in the Heavenly Pool Palace. Since I've come to you, I naturally have my ways. Lei Jun smiled faintly. I came to you because I want you to share the burden. If you're willing, I can immediately contact the two seniors and ask them to kill Duan Lingtian while he's on his way back. All right. Han Yunjin agreed without any hesitation. Although it pained him slightly, he still gritted his teeth and agreed to Lei Jun's request when he thought about the battle 3 years later. Although the Tidal Temple had branches in all Devata realms, the trial grounds for titled Celestial Lords and titled Celestial Emperors were not divided into Devata realms. The trial ground was connected to the Tidal Temples in the Devata realms. Those who participated in the trial would enter a secret realm that was separate from the Devata realms. That was the trial ground. I've reached my limit. After a month, Duan Lingtian finally reached his limit. He had no choice but to stop refining the Pine Willow Divine Tree's vitality. Boom. After stopping, Duan Lingtian did not hesitate as he gathered his strength and launched an attack to shatter the space around him. Violent spatial energy fused with the 7 orifices exquisite sword. When it launched an attack, it easily shattered the surrounding space. After shattering the space around him, Duan Lingtian's field of vision turned dark and bright again. When light returned to his eyes, he discovered that he had appeared on a vast altar. At this very moment, there were already 4 people standing on the altar. Humph, you're finally here. Ji Xian from the Blood Dragon clan and the 10,000 Beasts Heaven looked at Duan Lingtian coldly and said, "It seems like you're just an ordinary disciple of the Heavenly Pool Palace. You can't even be considered a prodigious disciple. How dare you enter the Tidal Temple to participate in the trial of a titled Celestial Lord when you're so weak? You're seeking death. If it weren't for our partnership, you would have died by my hands." Naturally, Ji Xian assumed Duan Lingtian was weak when he saw Duan Lingtian was the last to leave the altar. Otherwise, he would not have taken so long to leave the altar. Duan Lingtian glanced at Ji Xian indifferently before he said unhurriedly, "You can try." It was not difficult for him to guess Ji Xian's thoughts. "Sure, I'll try. I'm not afraid of you." Ji Xian sneered. "Since we're already here, there's no need to keep the number of people here at 5. I only need to kill 2 more people before I can leave this place. After killing you, I only need to kill 1 more person to leave this place and obtain a title." As soon as Ji Xian finished speaking, his blood qi surged out of his body. A violent aura surged out of his body. Bang! Following a loud explosion, the altar beneath Ji Xian's feet completely exploded. Cracks spread out like a spider web, unstoppable. Buzz, 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 buzz. As Ji Xian charged toward Duan Lingtian, blood-red saber auras formed around his body, emitting a bloody aura. At the same time, a chill that seemed capable of freezing thousands of miles spread out from the blood-red saber auras, causing the surrounding temperature to drop by a few degrees. Die. As Ji Xian attacked, a saber flew out from his palm. The blood-red saber aura that emitted a cold aura merged with the saber in his hand. Buzz! An earth-shattering saber cry rang out. Ji Xian's saber moved, carrying with it a destructive aura as it whizzed toward Duan Lingtian. At that moment, it seemed like the only thing left on the altar was this saber. Meng Haoshuan stood to the side, his expression changing slightly. He wanted to stop the battle, but when he opened his mouth to speak, he realized that it was already too late. As for the other 2 people, they were weaker. When they sensed the power of Ji Xian's saber, their expressions changed slightly, and they retreated far away. At this moment, they realized the gap between their strength and Ji Xian's. Ji Xian was so strong that even if the 2 of them joined forces, they might not be a match for him. "Revert to your true form," Duan Lingtian said indifferently in the face of Ji Xian's saber. At the same time, his celestial origin energy surged out of his 99 heavenly veins. The profundities from the law of space merged with his celestial origin energy and surged out in all directions. The mysterious teleportation profundity teleported a small portion of Ji Xian's attack away. Swoosh! Duan Lingtian raised his right hand, and a 7-colored sword ray rose from his palm. It transformed into a 3-foot-long sword that shone with a 7-colored radiance before he swung it out. The 7-colored sword ray that was covered in a layer of gray swept through the air and merged with the 9 cross-dimensional profundities that shot out from the spatial rift to meet Ji Xian's saber. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. A soft sound rang in the air. Under everyone's watchful eyes, Duan Lingtian's sword ray split the blood-red saber ray into 2. Boom! Rumble! The energy from the blood-red saber ray had completely erupted before it even touched Duan Lingtian. However, it only caused the 7-colored sword ray to dim slightly. Swoosh! After breaking Ji Xian's attack, the 7-colored sword ray continued to charge toward Ji Xian. How powerful! Meng Haoxian, who had thought Duan Lingtian would be at a disadvantage, was stunned when he saw this. Earlier, Duan Lingtian was the last to appear on the altar. Like Ji Xian, Meng Haoxian had thought Duan Lingtian was the weakest among the 5 of them. However, when he saw Duan Lingtian's attack, he knew he was wrong. Ji Xian was also wrong. Roar! A hint of fear flashed in Ji Xian's eyes when he saw Duan Lingtian's 7-colored sword ray. Then, he let out an ear-piercing dragon's roar that was filled with exasperation and anger. End of chapter. Chapter 3291. As Ji Xian produced a deafening dragon's roar, his entire body became illusionary. Afterwards, he directly turned into a wriggling dragon that was over 10,000 meters long. This mystical dragon was covered in blood-red scales from head to toe. It was filled with the smell of blood. On each of its claws, there were 9 sharp claws that shone with a piercing cold light, as if they could tear everything apart. A 9-clawed blood dragon. Meng Haoxian and the 2 spectators widened their eyes in shock when they saw Ji Xian in his true form. In the Devata realms, a 9-clawed divine dragon was considered a top celestial beast. If there were no accidents, it could become a 10-direction celestial emperor. However, it was extremely difficult for a 9-clawed divine dragon to become a god. Generally speaking, only the legendary 10-clawed divine dragon had a chance of becoming a god. On the other hand, a 10-clawed divine dragon was no longer a celestial beast but a divine beast. The 10-clawed divine dragon was on par with the 1,000 Phantoms Ice Fox. However, unlike the Phantom Fox clan, which was a Grade 1 force in the Devata realms, the 1,000 Phantoms Ice Fox was a rare existence in the Phantom Fox clan. On the other hand, a 10-clawed divine dragon would appear once every 100,000 years among dragons. Brat, I'm going to tear you apart. The 9-clawed blood dragon's blood-red eyes gleamed coldly. Then, the gigantic divine dragon's body trembled before it charged toward Duanling Tian at high speed. At the same time, the 9-clawed divine dragon's body leaned forward. Its sharp claws glinted coldly as it shot toward Duanling Tian. In just a blink of an eye, Duanling Tian's 7-colored sword ray was dispersed by Ji Xian, who had transformed into his true form. A 9-clawed divine dragon? Duanling Tian narrowed his eyes when he saw the 9-clawed blood dragon charging toward him. Once a 9-clawed divine dragon became a celestial lord, its claws would be comparable to an emperor-grade celestial weapon. Once a 9-clawed divine dragon became a celestial emperor, its defensive scales would be comparable to a purely defensive emperor-grade celestial weapon. The 9-clawed divine dragon was considered a top celestial beast among top celestial beasts. It was said that the 9-clawed divine dragon comprehended the laws very quickly. Swoosh, swoosh, chi, chi, chi. As the 9-clawed blood dragon's body danced, the whole world seemed to be covered in white snow. The void froze, and an ice curtain appeared. Duanling Tian, who had just teleported to another location, was immediately frozen. It was as if he had turned into an ice sculpture. Whoosh, whoosh. At this moment, 2 extremely cold rays of light shot out from the 9-clawed blood dragon's sharp claws. They turned into 2 icicles in the void and headed straight for Duanling Tian. Break! Duanling Tian's mind flickered. Space energy surged on his body. The magnetic storm burst out and broke the ice that had sealed him. However, although the ice was shattered, it continued to condense rapidly, as if it wanted to Duanling Tian to be trapped here. Your comprehension of the law of ice isn't bad. However, that's all. As Duanling Tian spoke indifferently, he teleported away from the frozen area. He crossed a distance of 10,000 meters and appeared extremely far away. The teleportation profundity to the mastery stage. Meng Haoxian and the others could see that Duanling Tian's comprehension of the law of space's teleportation profundity had reached the mastery stage. Otherwise, he would not have been able to escape from Ji Xian's ice shackles. This was because the ice shackles contained the ice shackles profundity to the mastery stage. After all, the mastery stage of the ice shackles profundity was not something that someone who had comprehended the teleportation profundity to the mastery stage could escape from. Is that all you've got? After Ji Xian transformed into his true form, he was indeed very strong. He was comparable to Lu Jian, the disciple of the Heavenly Pool Palace. However, in front of Duanling Tian, this little bit of strength was nothing. After all, even Lu Jian had been killed by him. Boy, don't be so arrogant. Ji Xian roared and attacked again. His body, which was more than 10,000 meters long, seemed to blot out the sun as he charged toward Duanling Tian. Let's end this. Duanling Tian's eyes turned cold. He no longer held back as the 7 orifices exquisite sword in his hand flashed. He used all the profundities from the law of space that he could. Swoosh! The rainbow-colored sword light flashed out again with a grayish light. Wong, 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 wong. 9-dimensional/profundities shot out from the 9 spatial rifts and followed the 7-colored sword ray like a shadow. The power of Duan Lingtian's attack was unprecedentedly terrifying. Ji Xian, who was facing Duan Lingtian's attack head-on, narrowed his eyes. In the next moment, his 10,000-meter-long body began to tremble uncontrollably. However, even though Ji Xian realized how terrifying Duan Lingtian's attack was, he did not sit still. Instead, he used all his strength to fight Duan Lingtian. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. This series of vibrations rang in the air as Ji Xian's body rotated in a flat surface. Then, a blood-red formation seal appeared in the air and shrouded his body. In the next moment, a blood-red energy shot out from the formation seal. It combined with Ji Xian's celestial origin energy that had been boosted with the Law of Ice to meet Duan Lingtian's ferocious attack. I've underestimated you. I didn't expect you to have such a technique up your sleeves. This technique must be unique to you as a 9-clawed blood dragon, right? Duan Lingtian's calm voice rang in the air. Based on Ji Xian's current strength, he was slightly stronger than Lu Jian. But, so what? His strength was not just a little bit stronger than Lu Jian's. Boom. Rumble. When Ji Xian's attack collided with Duan Lingtian's attack, it was as though a violent earthquake had occurred in the altar space. A powerful shockwave swept out, forcing Meng Hao Xian and the others to erect a celestial origin energy shield to protect themselves. No. Their expressions turned grim as they watched the battle between Duan Lingtian and Ji Xian when a voice filled with despair rang in their ears. The voice was filled with regret and unwillingness. The owner of the voice was none other than Ji Xian. Swoosh. At the same time, under the watchful eyes of Meng Hao Xian and the others, the 7-colored sword ray easily penetrated Ji Xian's head and destroyed his soul. Buzz. 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 The 9 cross-dimensional/profundities sliced Ji Xian's body into 10 pieces before they crashed onto the altar, causing it to shake violently. Ji Xian, the prodigious disciple of the Blood Dragon clan, a heaven-grade force in the 10,000 Beasts Heaven, had died. How powerful! Meng Hao Xian only regained his senses after Ji Xian's death. His eyes were filled with shock when he looked at the purple figure hovering in the air. Previously, he had never thought that this ordinary-looking purple-clad youth would have such terrifying strength. Earlier, when Ji Xian had attacked with all his might, he had even asked himself if he would be able to escape unscathed if he faced Ji Xian's attack. The answer was no. However, not only had the purple-clad young man defeated Ji Xian's attack, but he had even killed Ji Xian. Swoosh. The 7-colored sword ray returned to Duan Lingtian's hand and merged with Duan Lingtian's body. From the beginning until the end, Meng Hao Xian and the others had thought the 7-colored sword ray was Duan Lingtian's emperor-grade celestial weapon. After all, ever since Huang and the 7 orifices exquisite sword had become one, Huang had been able to disguise it as an emperor-grade celestial weapon. Let alone Meng Hao Xian and the others, even if a titled celestial emperor was present, Duan Lingtian would not be able to tell that the 7 orifices exquisite sword was a god-grade celestial weapon. Duan Lingtian, I didn't expect you to have comprehended all the profundities from the law of space to the mastery stage, even though your cultivation base isn't high. Meng Hao Xian exclaimed as he stepped forward and looked at Duan Lingtian after Ji Xian collected Ji Xian's spatial ring, celestial weapon, and corpse. Not bad. You're slightly stronger than Ji Xian. Duan Lingtian glanced at Ji Xian's corpse in the spatial ring with satisfaction before he regained his senses and responded to Meng Hao Xian with a smile. The corpse of a celestial lord 9-clawed divine dragon was full of treasures. It could be used to forge offensive emperor-grade celestial weapons. With other materials, it could even be used to forge defensive emperor-grade celestial weapons. In terms of value, all the items in Ji Xian's spatial ring might not be worth as much as the corpse. The corpse of a 9-clawed divine dragon could be used to forge offensive emperor-grade celestial weapons from its claws. Duan Lingtian, there's something strange about this altar. We still haven't found a way to leave this place. Do you have any ideas on how to leave this place? Meng Hao Xian's lips twitched when he heard Duan Lingtian's words. He quickly changed the topic. Upon hearing Meng Hao Xian's words, Duan Lingtian began to scan the altar with his divine consciousness. However, he did not find anything out of the ordinary. Sister Water. Duan Lingtian had no choice but to consult the world-cleansing divine water in his little world. To him, the world-cleansing divine water was like an encyclopedia. After all, the longer one lived, the more knowledgeable one would be. The test here is to break the formation. The world-cleansing divine water said to Duan Lingtian after observing the altar for a while. Break the formation? There's a formation here? Duan Lingtian was taken aback. There is. The world-cleansing divine water said. However, these formations are not offensive formations, defensive formations, or illusory formations. They're just formations that don't have any obvious effect. However, it is precisely these spirit formations that, when combined, are capable of preventing you all from leaving. You can think of these formations as a type of confinement formation. The world-cleansing divine water continued. Is there a way to break the formation? Duan Lingtian asked curiously. It's simple. Under the guidance of the world-cleansing divine water, it only took about 15 minutes for Duan Lingtian to break the formation in the altar. Done. After the formation was broken, an open door appeared on the altar. It was dark beyond the door. No one knew where it led to. At this moment, Meng Hao Xian and the other two were completely convinced by Duan Lingtian's abilities. Previously, the three of them had been studying the altar together with Ji Xian for a long time, but they were still unable to leave the altar. Now, it only took Duan Lingtian 15 minutes to open the door to the next stop. End of this chapter. Chapter 3292. In the 10,000 Beasts Heaven, the Blood Dragon clan was a branch of the dragons and was not recognized by the dragons. However, due to their strength and many titled celestial emperors, they were considered a heaven-grade force in the 10,000 Beasts Heaven. After so many years of development, the Blood Dragon clan had grown stronger. In fact, they were even more terrifying than the orthodox dragons. The Blood Dragon clan was a mutated dragon. They were also known as the Fallen Dragons by the dragons. This was because blood dragons usually needed to consume a large amount of blood essence from celestial beasts to grow. They did not reject any blood essence from low-ranked celestial beasts to top-ranked celestial beasts. Until now, there had never been a 10-clawed blood dragon in the Blood Dragon clan. The one with the purest bloodline was a 9-clawed blood dragon. There were less than 59 clawed blood dragons in the Blood Dragon clan. It could be said that every 9-clawed blood dragon was extremely important to the Blood Dragon clan. Every 9-clawed blood dragon would be highly valued. In the Blood Dragon clan, as long as one could transform into a 9-clawed blood dragon, one would be heavily nurtured by the Blood Dragon clan. Today, in the Blood Dragon clan's soul hall, a soul bead placed on top of it suddenly shattered. The shattering of the soul pearl immediately attracted the attention of the Hall of Soul Elder. This soul pearl belongs to the Grand Elder's direct disciple, Ji Xian. The Grand Elder of the Blood Dragon clan was the second strongest person in the Blood Dragon clan. His strength was second only to the Patriarch. It seems like the Blood Dragon clan won't have a peaceful time in the near future. The Hall of Soul's Elder sighed. Then, he sent a message to the clan leader of the Blood Dragon clan, informing him of this matter. However, he did not send a message to the Grand Elder. First of all, he would only incur the Grand Elder's wrath if he hastily sent a message to the Grand Elder. It was better for the Patriarch to personally inform the Grand Elder. No matter how angry the Grand Elder was, it was impossible for him to vent his anger on the Patriarch. Secondly, in his opinion, the Grand Elder definitely had Ji Xian's soul orb. Since Ji Xian's soul orb had shattered, the Grand Elder would definitely have discovered that Ji Xian's soul orb had shattered. Perhaps, when he discovered that Ji Xian's soul orb had shattered, that Grand Elder had also discovered it. Ji Xian. Just as this thought appeared in the Hall of Soul's Elder's mind, an extremely furious roar suddenly sounded in his ears. It was like a thunderclap that resounded throughout the entire Blood Dragon clan's encampment. It seems that the Great Elder already knows. The Soul Hall Elder bitterly smiled. He could tell that this was the voice of their Blood Dragon clan's first elder. The Blood Dragon clan's Grand Elder, Ji Hu, was an old man dressed in a long blood-red robe. His curly hair draped over his back like a python. Now, he was hovering in the void, and his expression was as ugly as it could be. "My condolences, Grand Elder." Shortly after, a middle-aged man appeared. He was tall and burly, and his face was as fair as jade. His long hair flowed down his back like a waterfall, and he exuded the aura of a superior. This middle-aged man was none other than Jifeng, the current clan leader of the Blood Dragon clan and the strongest person in the clan. "Clan leader, you've heard about it?" Jihu looked at Jifeng.
Yes.
Jifeng nodded. "I just received a message from the Hall of Souls Elders." "What happened? How did Ji Xin die?" Ji Xin went to the title temple with the third elder to obtain the title of a celestial lord. "I've just sent a message to the third elder, and he told me that Ji Xin was in the title temple's training ground." Jihu's eyes flashed coldly as he said, "In other words, Ji Xin died in the title temple's training ground? Clan leader, come with me to the title temple. I want to know who killed Ji Xin." Jihu said in a deep voice, "Grand Elder." Jifeng frowned slightly. Although the members of the title temple are allowed to know what happened in the training ground, they have a rule that forbids them from divulging what happened in the training ground to anyone. In the history of the Devata realms, very few people have been able to obtain information about the training ground from the members of the title temple. Jifeng said, "Although it's rare, it's always possible." Jihu's eyes flashed coldly. "I'm willing to pay a price to find out who killed Ji Xin. I don't believe the members of the title temple won't be tempted." "Forget it." Jifeng sighed. "Since you insist on going, I'll go with you, Grand Elder." Based on the conversation between the two of them, it was clear that the people from the title temple were able to see what was happening in the trial. At this moment, Duan Lingtian was unaware that the nine-clawed blood dragon he had killed earlier was so powerful. Even if he knew, he would not have held back and would still kill the dragon. After leaving the altar, Duan Lingtian, Meng Haoxian, and the others arrived at the next stop. They arrived at a space that was also filled with great pressure. However, the pressure in this space was due to gravity. Once again, the four of them were separated. "I'll continue to refine the vitality of the pine willow divine tree." Duan Lingtian was in no hurry to leave. He sat down cross-legged and refined the vitality of the pine willow divine tree under the guidance of the world-cleansing divine water. Duan Lingtian only stopped refining the vitality of the pine willow divine tree when the gravitational force was so great that he could barely breathe. After leaving the space, Duan Lingtian thought he would see Meng Haoxian and the others. However, to his surprise, he found himself standing on a cold stone platform. There was no one around him. The stone platform was cold because it emitted a cold aura that made one feel as though they had fallen into an ice cellar. "HM?" Suddenly, Duan Lingtian's eyes lit up. He saw a figure on the other side of the stone platform. Duan Lingtian was stunned when he saw the figure. This was because the figure looked exactly the same as him from top to bottom. "Humph." All of a sudden, Duan Lingtian snorted coldly and charged at Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian thought that Duan Lingtian would use the law of space. However, to his surprise, Duan Lingtian did not use the law of space. Instead, he used the law of water that he had never seen before. Two water tornadoes accompanied Duan Lingtian as they charged at Duan Lingtian. "Is that all you've got?" Originally, Duan Lingtian thought Duan Lingtian's strength was comparable to his own. However, Duan Lingtian discovered that Duan Lingtian's strength was much weaker than Ji Xian's. Buzz, 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 buzz. Duan Lingtian teleported and appeared behind Duan Lingtian. 9-dimensional slashes whizzed out like the scythe of the Grim Reaper, reaping Duan Lingtian's life. When Duan Lingtian fell to the ground, Duan Lingtian was shocked to see that Duan Lingtian had transformed into another person. Duan Lingtian was no stranger to this person. It was one of the two people who had entered with him, Meng Haoxuan and Ji Xian. Boom, 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 boom. Suddenly, there were two loud explosions. Duan Lingtian felt the stone platform beneath his feet tremble. Only then did he realize that another stone platform had been connected to the one he was standing on. There was a person standing on that stone platform. It was Meng Haoxuan. At Meng Haoshuan's feet was another corpse. It was the corpse of the other person who had entered with them. At this point, of the 5 people who had entered, only Duan Lingtian and Meng Haoshuan were still alive. Duan Lingtian? When he saw Duan Lingtian and the corpse at Duan Lingtian's feet, Meng Haoshuan was shocked. He could not help but ask, "Before you killed him, did he transform into your appearance?" "Yes." Duan Lingtian nodded. "Me too." Meng Haoshuan smiled bitterly. "What the hell is this place? Why does it feel so strange? Now that the 2 of us have been connected to each other, could it be that you want me to fight to the death with you?" "That's a possibility, but not necessarily." Duan Lingtian shook his head. "Let's see if we can find another way out first."
Yes.
Meng Haoshuan nodded in agreement. At the same time, he sighed in relief. He could see that Duan Lingtian had no intention of attacking him. If it were before, he would not have dared to say that he could defeat Duan Lingtian, but he was confident that he could do so. However, after witnessing Duan Lingtian killing Jixin, the 9-clawed blood dragon, he knew that he was no match for Duan Lingtian even though he was not much weaker than Jixin. If Duan Lingtian attacked him, he would definitely die. Meng Haoshuan did not know that Duan Lingtian would not kill him unless he attacked Duan Lingtian. After all, he was Huan Er's father's junior brother. If he killed Meng Haoshuan, how would Duan Lingtian face Huan Er's father in the future? Apart from that, Meng Haoxian had also provided Duan Lingtian with important information that allowed him to find out where Huan Er's father was being held. In Duan Lingtian's opinion, Huan Er's mother was most likely imprisoned here as well. Sister Water. Duan Lingtian could not help but ask the world-cleansing divine water. He had been wandering the area with Meng Haoshuan for a long time, but he still could not figure out what was going on. "Only one person can leave this place," the world-cleansing divine water said. Duan Lingtian nodded. Although Duan Lingtian had mentally prepared himself, he could not help but smile bitterly when he heard the world-cleansing divine water's words. In the end, he and Meng Haoshuan would still have to fight to the death. "Do I have to kill him to leave this place?" Duan Lingtian asked hesitantly. "Not necessarily," the world-cleansing divine water said. The world-cleansing divine water continued to say, "I've checked for you earlier. The condition to leave this place should be that there's only one person left. However, the other person can hide in the small world of the remaining person and leave with that person. However, not everyone is willing to allow others to rashly enter their little world. After all, that is a very dangerous thing. You should enter his little world and leave this place. Although you're not afraid of him destroying your little world, there are too many secrets in it. It's not wise for him to discover them." Chapter 3293. As soon as the world-cleansing divine water finished speaking, Duan Lingtian told Meng Haoxian about how they could leave this place. Either one of them survived, or one of them entered the other's little world. "Duan Lingtian, you can enter my little world." Meng Haoxian invited Duan Lingtian to enter his little world. After all, Duan Lingtian did not hesitate to invite Duan Lingtian to enter his little world. In Meng Haoxian's opinion, with Duan Lingtian's strength, it was entirely possible for Duan Lingtian to leave this place after killing him. Since Duan Lingtian had suggested this, it was only natural for him to invite Duan Lingtian to enter his little world. Apart from the fact that he was the weaker party, he had no other choice. Based on the current situation, it was impossible for Duan Lingtian to wreak havoc in his little world since there was no need for him to do so. After all, Duan Lingtian was strong enough to kill him. Why would he wait until Duan Lingtian entered his little world to wreak havoc? All right. Since Meng Haoxian knew what was good for him, Duan Lingtian did not hesitate and allowed Meng Haoxian's little world to suck him in. Meng Haoxian's little world was a barren land. The heaven and earth spirit energy inside was no different from the Devata realms. In fact, the heaven and earth spirit energy was even thinner. This is amazing. As soon as Duan Lingtian entered Meng Haoxian's little world and concealed his aura, he heard Meng Haoxian's voice again. "What's wrong?" At this moment, Duan Lingtian had completely concealed his aura. He did not even dare to release his divine consciousness. Naturally, he was unaware of what was happening outside. After you entered the small world in my body, the surrounding mirror image changed automatically. Now, We seem to have come out. Meng Haoxian said. We're out. Duan Lingtian asked Meng Haoxian to send him out of Meng Haoxian's little world. Although Duan Lingtian could leave the little world by himself, he would have to use a technique that would injure Meng Haoxian. Duan Lingtian, thank you. After sending Duan Lingtian out of his small world, Meng Haoxian thanked Duan Lingtian with a serious expression on his face. At the same time, Duan Lingtian, who had come out, looked around and realized that they had indeed left the testing ground left behind by the utmost powerful beings. Inside, did you find anything? Duan Lingtian looked at Meng Haoxian curiously. His greatest gain from the trial grounds was successfully refining around 30% of the vitality of the pine willow divine tree. As for the other aspects, even though he had improved, the effects were negligible. Yes. Meng Haoxian nodded and smiled faintly. My cultivation base has improved a bit, and my comprehension of the laws has also improved greatly. Of course, I can't compare to you. Meng Haoxian shook his head and sighed. Although the purple-clad young man's cultivation base was inferior to his, he had comprehended all the profundities to the mastery stage. Moreover, he had comprehended one of the 4 supreme laws, the law of space, which was notoriously difficult to comprehend. All right. Duan Lingtian nodded and smiled faintly. Let's part ways here. I hope we'll have a chance to meet again in the future. All right. Meng Haoxian nodded. He knew that all good things must come to an end. If there's a chance in the future, I'll definitely go to the Boundless Heavens Pool Palace to have a drink or two with you. If you have the chance to go to the Solitary Destructive Heavens Solitary Destructive Territory, you can also come to the Heavenly Sword Mountain to look for me. Here's my soul pearl. Before parting ways, Meng Haoxian and Duan Lingtian exchanged soul pearls before parting ways. After a few teleportations, Duan Lingtian sighed inwardly. It seems like I'll have to look for another testing ground. I've only refined 30% of the vitality of the pine willow divine tree. I'll have to look for at least 2 more testing grounds before I can refine it completely. When Duan Lingtian thought of this, he could not help but feel a headache coming on. Fortunately, he still had time. It was not too late. The boundless heaven. In the boundless territory. In a barren desert, there were ruins scattered everywhere. Broken walls were everywhere, and in the midst of these ruins, there was a perfectly intact palace. The palace was covered with sand and dust. However, upon closer inspection, one would discover that the ground in front of the palace was spotless. Even the sand and dust would be swept away by an invisible force. Are you sure this is the place? 2 figures appeared in the air above the ruins. One of them asked the other. The 2 young men were dressed in gray robes from head to toe, including their heads. Only their foreheads, eyes, and noses could be seen. There's no mistake. As soon as one of the young men spoke, the other young man quickly replied. If Duan Lingtian were here, it would not be difficult for him to identify the 2 young men. They were Han Yunjin, a disciple of the profound Heaven Celestial Emperor, and Lei Jun, a disciple of the merciless Celestial Emperor, respectively. Han Yunjin was the first to speak. Swoosh. Suddenly, Lei Jun made a move. A burst of celestial origin energy shot out from his hand and landed in front of the palace that was still intact. It hit the clock in front of the palace's entrance. Dong. Around 10 breaths after the bell chimed, a figure slowly walked out from the palace. It was a young man. The young man looked to be around 13 or 14 years old. He flew up into the air and looked at Lei Jun and Han Yunjin from afar before he said indifferently, "Since you're able to find this place, I'm sure you know the rules. Leave behind the information of the target and one of your soul pearls. After that, you may return and wait for further news." The young man said, "You are." Han Yunjin was stunned when he saw the young man. Although the young man looked to be around 13 or 14 years old, he did not have the aura of someone younger than 100 years old. This meant the young man was more than 100 years old. I don't want to repeat myself. As soon as Han Yunjin finished speaking, a terrifying aura surged out of the young man's body and shrouded Han Yunjin and Lei Jun. Upon seeing this, Han Yunjin and Lei Jun trembled involuntarily. "Greetings, Senior Dugu." Han Yunjin and Lei Jun both sucked in a breath of cold air and bowed respectfully to the young man, not daring to show the slightest disrespect. The aura the young man had emitted earlier told them one thing. The young man was a titled celestial emperor. Based on this, it was obvious that this person was one of the two titled celestial emperors they were looking for. Moreover, he was a titled celestial emperor. Senior Dugu, this is the reward. Lei Jun raised his hand and tossed a spatial ring to the young man. Then, he said without beating around the bush, the person we want you to kill is Duan Lingtian. He's a prodigious disciple of the Heavenly Pool Palace. The Heavenly Pool Palace? After establishing ownership over the spatial ring, the young man nodded and said indifferently, there's no problem with the target's identity. However, if he hides in the Heavenly Pool Palace and refuses to leave, we won't be able to kill him. Before you issue the mission, you have to confirm that he'll leave the Heavenly Pool Palace. Moreover, you have to notify us as soon as he leaves the Heavenly Pool Palace. The young man said, the Heavenly Pool Palace was a heaven-grade force. Its protective formation was so powerful that even titled celestial emperors would not be able to break into it. Even if they did, they would be exposed. Senior, you don't have to worry about that. Lei Jun said with a smile, the target is currently in the Tidal Temple, undergoing the test to become a titled celestial lord. However, he has a titled celestial emperor by his side. That titled celestial emperor is Su Lang, the Verdant Prairie celestial emperor of the Heavenly Pool Palace. The Verdant Prairie celestial emperor? The young man raised an eyebrow when he heard Lei Jun's words. No wonder the reward is so generous. As it turns out, he has a titled celestial emperor by his side. However, since he has left the Heavenly Pool Palace, we'll accept the mission. The young man continued to say, now, you can describe him and his companions. It's best if you have a portrait of him. I've already prepared it. Lei Jun raised his hand and handed a rolled-up portrait to the young man. After that, Lei Jun left behind his soul orb and bade farewell to the young man before leaving. Before Lei Jun left, the young man gave Lei Jun a soul bead. Take this soul bead. If anything happens, keep in touch. As soon as Lei Jun and the young man turned around, the young man seemed to have disappeared into thin air. Lei Jun, there shouldn't be a problem with them, right? Han Yunjin asked as they made their way back to the Heavenly Pool Palace. Of course, there shouldn't be a problem. Lei Jun smiled confidently. If I'm not mistaken, that young man should be the 100 Transformations Celestial Emperor, Duguwan. It's said that he's not human. He's 100 Colors Celestial Emperor. That young man just now should only be one of his transformations. Duguwan is more famous than the Verdant Prairie Celestial Emperor and my mother in the Boundless Heaven. He's not inferior to your teacher, the Profound Heaven Celestial Emperor. Apart from that, the stronger one is his elder brother, Dugu Wu. It's said that Dugu Wu is a tenacious heavenly bamboo. He's called the Indestructible Celestial Emperor, and people call him the Indestructible Celestial Emperor. I'm sure Duguwan is as strong as Su Lang. Dugu Wu is definitely stronger than Su Lang. Lei Jun said, I hope there won't be a problem. After all, we've paid a huge price this time. Han Yunjin said in a deep voice. Both he and Lei Jun had paid a huge price. It could be said that they had turned from tycoons to paupers overnight. The greater the price, the greater the reward. This is the truth since time immemorial. Lei Jun said indifferently. After Han Yunjin and Lei Jun left the desert, two figures flew out of the palace in the desert and made their way to the Tidal Temple. Chapter 3294. In the 10,000 Beasts Heaven, the Dragons. The Blood Dragon clan was a branch of the dragons. Apart from the Blood Dragons, the Blood Dragon clan had all the divine dragons. For example, the Golden Dragon, Devil Dragon, White Dragon, Azure Dragon, Red Dragon, and so on. Among them, the Golden Dragon and Devil Dragon's bloodlines were the noblest, followed by the White Dragon, Azure Dragon, Red Dragon, and so on. The Blood Dragon was an anomaly among the dragons. Due to this reason, the other dragons did not bother to associate themselves with them. The dragon's territory was much larger than the Blood Dragon clan's territory. Duan Xiaohei, Duan Xiaobai. At this moment, a figure dressed in a golden robe was standing opposite a black-clad young man and a white-clad young woman in the Prodigy Valley. The golden-clad young man had a determined expression on his face, and his eyes shone brightly like stars. However, at this moment, he was glaring at the man and woman in front of him with hostility in his eyes. The black-clad young man had a handsome and cold appearance. He was tall and burly, and his body emitted a cold aura. The white-clad young woman was dressed in a snow-white robe. She was beautiful, and she looked holy as she stood there. "Ji-yin, do you really want to challenge Xiaohei and me?" The white-clad young woman's long hair cascaded down like a waterfall. She looked at the golden-clad young man with a smile and said, "I remember Xiaohei and I defeated you 30 years ago, right?" "Humph." The golden-clad young man scoffed. "You've said it yourself. That was 30 years ago. It's not certain who's going to be defeated today. It seems like your trip to the title temple and obtaining the title of a celestial lord has boosted your confidence a lot," the white-clad young woman said with a smile. "Cut the crap. Let's fight." The golden-clad young man's eyes turned cold as a murderous aura surged out of his body. Then, he shot toward the duo at lightning speed. Swoosh, swoosh. The black-clad young man and the white-clad young woman left a black afterimage and a white afterimage respectively before they disappeared into the void. Boom. Rumble. The short exchange between the three of them caused space to tremble. It was as if waves of deafening thunder resounded, shaking the heavens and the earth. Duan Xiaohei and Duan Xiaobai are always bullies. No matter who they fight, they always fight together. One of the dragon's disciples shook his head and said, "They are inseparable siblings, so it's normal for them to attack together." Another disciple of the dragon said, "Besides, think about it. How old are they? They aren't even 300 years old. Even if they join forces to fight Ji-yin, they won't be able to take advantage of him." That is true. Ji-yin is even older than the two of them combined. However, although Duan Xiaohei and Duan Xiaobai are from the mundane realm, they transformed into a 9-clawed devil dragon and a 9-clawed white dragon as soon as they arrived in the ancestral pool. This is rare in the history of the dragons. It's said that they were baptized by the Blood Moon Ridge's ancestral pool in the mundane realm and transformed into an 8-clawed devil dragon and an 8-clawed white dragon. With that foundation, the dragons are able to transform into a 9-clawed devil dragon and a 9-clawed white dragon. After the news of them transforming into a 9-clawed devil dragon and a 9-clawed white dragon spread, the Lord of Blood Moon Ridge personally came to the dragons to ask for benefits. I heard the commotion was quite fierce at that time. The Lord of Blood Moon Ridge looked as if he would take the duo away if the dragons didn't give him any benefits. Although Duan Xiaohei and Duan Xiaobai were from the mundane realm, they had only joined the dragons for 200 years before they became prodigious disciples among the dragons. 200 years ago, when they first joined the dragons, they were baptized by the dragon's ancestral pool and transformed into a 9-clawed devil dragon and a 9-clawed white dragon. Now that 200 years had passed, their strength was comparable to that of a titled celestial lord. Even then, when the duo joined forces, no one below the celestial emperor realm was a match for them among the dragons. Duan Xiaohei, Duan Xiaobai, revert to your true forms. Suddenly, Ji Yan's bell-like voice was clearly transmitted into the ears of the spectating dragon clan disciples like a thunderclap. Roar. In the next moment, an earth-shattering dragon's roar rang in the ears of the spectating disciples of the dragons. At the same time, Ji Yan, who was dressed in a golden robe, reverted to his true form. He was a 9-clawed divine dragon that was more than 10,000 meters long. This 5-clawed divine dragon was covered in golden dragon scales that shone with a golden light. The golden light emitted from the dragon's scales was extremely cold. Roar! Roar! As soon as Ji Yan reverted to his true form, 2 dragons' roars rang in the air. The black-clad young man and the white-clad woman suddenly became illusory. Then, 2 9-clawed divine dragons that were more than 10,000 meters long appeared one after another. These 2 9-clawed divine dragons were different from Ji Yan's true form. Instead, they were a 9-clawed devil dragon and a 9-clawed white dragon. The 9-clawed devil dragon's scales shone as black as ink. The cold aura it emitted was even colder than the golden scales of the 9-clawed golden dragon. The surface of the 9-clawed white dragon's body was covered with white dragon scales that emitted a holy white light. It gave off a sense of beauty, and many of the dragon's disciples' eyes lit up when they saw it. Currently, among us dragons, there are only 2 nine-clawed white dragons, right? Other than Duan Xiaobai. Only the 4th elder is a 9-clawed white dragon. A disciple of the dragons murmured. Otherwise, why would the 4th elder treat little Bai as his own lifeblood? Didn't you see that the 4th elder was already here? Where? Over there. Many of the dragon's disciples were looking at a figure in white robes standing in the distance. He was calmly looking at the 3 nine-clawed dragons in the Genius Valley. This was a beautiful woman in white. She was graceful and elegant. When her gaze fell on the 9-clawed white dragon in the sky above Sky's Pride Valley, her gaze became incomparably gentle. Elder Ji Xiang is also here. A woman stood next to the beautiful woman. She was none other than the youngest elder in the dragons, Ji Xiang. Mother, little Bai seems to be even more outstanding than you were when you were young. Ji Xiang smiled at the beautiful woman. The beautiful woman was none other than the 4th elder of the dragons in the Wanshou heaven, Ji Ning Yun. Duan Xiaobai was a 9-clawed white dragon from the mundane realm. He was her only disciple, and his position in her heart made Ji Xiang, her daughter, jealous. That's right. I didn't expect a 9-clawed white dragon to have such achievements at her age. Ji Ning Yun nodded. It's all thanks to you that you brought her and Little Black back to the Blood Moon Ridge. If they had gone to the Blood Moon Ridge, the old man there wouldn't have allowed them to return to the dragons after discovering their innate talents. Ji Yin returned a month ago. He went to the Tidal Temple to obtain a title. It's said that he had a fortuitous encounter in the Tidal Temple's training ground, and his strength has increased significantly. With his current strength, apart from Little Bai and Little Black, no one below the Celestial Emperor realm in the dragons is a match for him. Ji Xiang nodded. He's not a match for Little Black and Little White. Ji Ningyun shook her head. Little Black and Little White are proficient in the joint attack techniques of the dragons. When they become titled Celestial Emperors in the future, I'm afraid no one among the dragons will be a match for them, Ji Ningyun said with a sigh. In the Devata realms, there are many people who are proficient in joint attack techniques. Zhuge Feng and Zhuge Yun, the leaders of the Ganjiang progeny and the Moxie progeny in the Jade Emperor Heaven's Thousand Tribulations sword sect, are siblings. Their strength is close to that of a titled Celestial Emperor, and they can kill ordinary titled Celestial Emperors when they join forces. Little Black and Little White are twins as well. Most importantly, they're 9-clawed divine dragons as well. They won't be inferior to them in the future. Based on Ji Xiang's words, it was clear she was confident in the 9-clawed devil dragon and 9-clawed white dragon. I don't doubt that. Ji Ning Yun's eyes narrowed as she said indifferently, what I'm concerned about is whether they'll be able to evolve into 10-clawed divine dragons. It's been almost 100,000 years since a 10-clawed divine dragon has appeared among the dragons. If a 10-clawed divine dragon appears, it'll most likely be them. Ji Ning Yun said, a 10-clawed divine dragon? Ji Xiang looked at the 9-clawed devil dragon and the 9-clawed white dragon in shock. After a few rounds, the 9-clawed devil dragon and the 9-clawed white dragon had gained the upper hand. After a while, Ji Xiang finally regained her senses. I've spoken to your father and the patriarch. There's a high chance they'll succeed, Ji Ning Yun said. Ji Xiang nodded. My father and the patriarch think so as well? Ji Xiang inhaled sharply upon hearing Ji Ning Yun's words. Ji Ning Yun's father was the Grand Elder of the Dragon's Clan. Together with the Patriarch of the Dragon's Clan, their strength was ranked in the top 3 among the dragons. There were 16 titled Celestial Emperors among the Dragon's Clan. One could easily imagine how powerful Ji Ning Yun's father was to be ranked in the top 3 among the 16 titled Celestial Emperors. Duan Xiaohe, Duan Xiaobai. If you're capable, fight me one-on-one. Meanwhile, the battle in the Prodigy Valley had finally come to an end. After more than 10 rounds, Ji Yin was defeated by Duan Xiaohe and Duan Xiaobai. Ji Yin, you're getting more and more shameless. A woman dressed in a white robe looked at Ji Yin with a smile on her face. How old are you? And how old are Xiaohe and I? How dare you say you're going to fight us one-on-one? Ask yourself this. When you were our age, were you a match for any of us? Ji Yan's expression turned unsightly when he heard the woman's words. However, he was at a loss for words. After all, he was much weaker than the two of them when he was their age. Chapter 3295. In the Tidal Temple. In the training ground for titled celestial lords. I still need 20% more. At this moment, it had been a year since Duan Lingtian entered the training ground for titled celestial lords. During this 1 year, apart from entering the test site with Ming Haoxian, Duan Lingtian discovered another 3 test sites. After leaving the 3 training grounds, Duan Lingtian managed to refine 80% of the pine willow divine tree's vitality. He was only 20% away from fully refining the pine willow divine tree's vitality. At that time, he would be able to condense the godly image phenomenon of the pine willow divine tree and improve his strength. Sister Water, I think you've been teaching the 2 Ning dragons something. Why do I feel like they're becoming more and more alike? Duan Lingtian asked the world-cleansing divine water in his little world. During this time, he would occasionally pay attention to the world-cleansing divine water in his little world and discovered that the world-cleansing divine water had been teaching the 2 Ning dragons. In the beginning, the 2 Ning dragons only looked identical. However, after looking at them for a while, their slightly different auras became extremely similar. I'm teaching them how to cooperate with each other through formations and the connection between their bloodlines, the world-cleansing divine water said. The world-cleansing divine water said, fortunately, their comprehension abilities are not low. During this period of time, their combined strength has risen to a whole new level compared to when they were working together. I see. Duan Lingtian nodded in realization. At the same time, he knew that if 2 Ning dragons had a close connection with each other, the increase in their strength would not be as simple as 1 + 1 = 2. The leaders of the Ganjiang progeny and the Moxie progeny in the Jade Emperor Heaven's Thousand Tribulations sword sect were twins. If they joined forces, they would be able to easily kill ordinary titled celestial emperors. It's been a year. I wonder how Huan is doing? She should have left by now, right? Duan Lingtian thought to himself. In his opinion, with Huan strength, it would not be difficult for her to kill 9 people in the training ground. Just as Duan Lingtian had expected, among the group of titled celestial lords who had entered the Tidal Temple, he was the only one who had yet to leave. Apart from Huan Hu Mei, and Wen even Nan Lufeng, the disciple of Zheng Yu, the Copper Mountain Celestial Emperor, had left as well. All 4 of them were titled celestial lords from the Tidal Temple. She had given herself the title of Heavenly Fantasy. The word Tian was taken from Duan Lingtian's name, and the word Huan was taken from her own name. Huan the Heaven Celestial Lord. Little junior brother is still not out yet? Outside the Tidal Temple, Hu Mei frowned after the Copper Mountain Celestial Emperor and his disciple left. Confusion filled her face. In her opinion, based on her little junior brother's strength, he should have come out a long time ago. However, he was still not out yet. Could something have happened to him? Naturally, Hu Mei had Duan Lingtian's soul pearl in her hand, so she could confirm if he was still alive. Due to this reason, she was not worried that Duan Lingtian was in danger. She merely thought Duan Lingtian must have encountered something in there that caused him to be delayed for so long. Little junior brother is still alive. Let's wait a little longer. When Wan said patiently, perhaps little junior brother encountered a fortuitous encounter in there. With little junior brother's strength, it won't be difficult for him to pass the test. Su Lang remained silent as he stood at the side with his eyes closed. A moment later, Su Lang opened his eyes and looked at the veiled Huan standing at the side. When he saw the calm expression in her eyes, he fell into deep thought. It seems like this girl isn't worried about that brat at all. She's confident in him, but she's not worried about him at all. Otherwise, she knows why Duan Lingtian is taking so long to come out. After waiting for another 3 months, the 4 of them finally received a message from Duan Lingtian. I'm out. Follow the elders of the Tidal Temple to the titled Celestial Lord's Palace and leave my title there. Hu Mei and Wen sighed in relief when they received Duan Lingtian's message. They could use celestial weapons in the titled Celestial Lord's trial, but they could not use celestial talismans, including communication celestial talismans. Not to mention the fact that outsiders couldn't communicate with those inside the trial grounds, Even those inside the trial grounds couldn't communicate with each other. In the tidal temple, after Duan Lingtian left the trial grounds, he followed an elder of the tidal temple to the titled Celestial Lord's palace. The elder of the tidal temple, who was leading the way for Zhang Xian, was dressed in a black robe. Even his head was covered, so Zhang Xian could not see his face clearly. Think about your title first. When we arrive at the titled Celestial Lord's palace, I'll write it down for you. The elder's voice rang in Duan Lingtian's ears. His voice was old and hoarse, but it was filled with energy. I've already thought about it, Duan Lingtian replied. When the elder brought Duan Lingtian to the titled Celestial Lord's palace, Duan Lingtian told the elder about his title, Misty Rain. At this moment, Duan Lingtian, a titled Celestial Lord, had his own title, the Misty Rain Celestial Lord. When they entered the titled Celestial Lord's palace, Duan Lingtian glanced around and saw many names engraved on the pillars, walls, and ceiling. After each name, there was a title. With just a glance, one could tell the titled Celestial Lord's palace had a long history. Elder, are these the names of celestial lords who obtained their titles in the Boundless Heavens Tidal Temple? Duan Lingtian could not help but ask the elders of the Tidal Temple when he saw the names in the titled Celestial Lords' palaces. At this moment, the elder of the Tidal Temple was going to carve his name and title on the ceiling. He also saw Huan Er's name next to the old man's carving. Huan Er's title was Heavenly Fantasy. This girl, Duan Lingtian muttered to himself. Naturally, Duan Lingtian figured out the origin of Huan Er's title. Yes, the elder replied indifferently. Then, he led Duan Lingtian back to where they came from. Along the way, he led Duan Lingtian out of the Tidal Temple through another path. Along the way, Duan Lingtian's mind was elsewhere. I should find out where the Thousand Chains prison is when I return to the Heavenly Pool Palace. According to Meng Haoshuan, Huan Er's father is imprisoned there. As for Huan Er's mother, if she's really imprisoned in the Heavenly Pool Palace, she should be in the Thousand Chains prison as well. Duan Lingtian did not forget that he had joined the Heavenly Pool Palace to rescue Huan Er's parents. Swoosh! It did not take long before Duan Lingtian left the Tidal Temple and appeared in front of Huan Er and the others. Little junior brother, you're finally out? What happened in there? Why did you take so long? Humei asked curiously. She heaved a sigh of relief when she saw Duan Lingtian. He encountered a few trials and passed them all. Only then did he start looking for immortal emperors to fight. He only came out after he killed 9 immortal emperors. Duan Lingtian told Humei the story that he had prepared beforehand. Naturally, his story was not entirely false. In fact, most of it was true. However, he did not mention the reason he was so eager to participate in the tests in the trial of titled Celestial Lords. How many tests did you pass? Aren't you a little too lucky? Humei was taken aback by Duan Lingtian's words. I've killed 9 Celestial Lords, and I only encountered 1 test. Little junior brother, why did you encounter so many tests? Humei asked curiously. It's only natural for me to encounter more tests after staying in the trial of titled Celestial Lords for a long time. Duan Lingtian smiled. Humei was taken aback by Duan Lingtian's words. She thought about it for a moment and agreed with Duan Lingtian's words. Did you gain anything? Humei asked. Not bad. Duan Lingtian nodded. Since Old Seventh is out, let's return, Su Lang said. Then, he led Duan Lingtian and the others out of the Tidal Temple. Huan Er, did you gain anything in the trial of titled Celestial Lords? Duan Lingtian asked through voice transmission on their way back. Duan Lingtian and the others saw 2 figures standing in front of them, blocking their path. Duan Lingtian and the others' path was blocked by 2 figures. Of the 2 people, one was a young man who looked to be in his teens, and the other was an old man. Verdant Prairie's Celestial Emperor. The teenager stepped forward and greeted Su Lang indifferently. Then, he shifted his gaze to Duan Lingtian and asked, You must be Duan Lingtian, right? As soon as the teenager finished speaking, his eyes flashed with killing intent. Duan Lingtian narrowed his eyes when he sensed the killing intent in the teenager's eyes. His expression turned solemn immediately. It was obvious these 2 people did not come with good intentions. Moreover, The teenager seemed to know that his master was a titled celestial emperor. Yet, he still dared to come here even though he knew there was a titled celestial emperor here. This meant they were not afraid of titled celestial emperors. At the very least, they were not afraid of Su Lang, a titled celestial emperor. You are. Su Lang frowned as he looked at the teenager. Although the teenager seemed to be in his teens, he did not have the aura of someone younger than 100 years old. Duguan. The teenager smiled. Duguan? As soon as the young man finished speaking, Su Lang's expression changed drastically. He looked at the young man with fear in his eyes. Then, he looked at the old man behind the young man and his heart trembled. He is Duguan. Then, he is Duguwu? Now, not only did Su Lang's face change, but even Hu Mei and Wenwan Er's faces turned ugly in an instant. They had all heard of Duguan and knew of his existence. Duguan was a titled celestial emperor with the title of 100 transformations. He was 100 colors flower that had transformed into a human. Duguwu, Hu Mei and Wenwan Er instinctively turned to look at the old man standing behind the teenager. Chapter 3296. Duguan, the 100 Transformations Celestial Emperor. Duguwu, the Indestructible Celestial Emperor. Both of them were famous in the boundless heavens, boundless territory. In fact, they were even more famous than many titled celestial emperors who were stronger than them. They were famous not because of their strength, but because both of them were titled celestial emperors. Moreover, both of them were assassins. Moreover, both of them worked together. Many titled celestial emperors in the boundless heaven had died in their hands. Due to this, they had become even more famous. Now that both of them had appeared in the boundless heavens, boundless heavens, boundless heavens, boundless heaven, Hu Mei and Wenwan Er knew what this meant. Based on Duan Lingtian's actions, it was obvious the target of the two assassins was none other than Duan Lingtian. Two titled celestial emperors? Through Hu Mei and Wenwan Er's voice transmissions, Duan Lingtian learned who the two people in front of him were. At the same time, he also learned that they were targeting him. The assassins are here to kill me? I don't think I've offended many people in the boundless heaven, right? At this moment, many thoughts flashed in Duan Lingtian's mind. One could easily imagine the price he would have to pay to bribe two titled celestial emperors. Did you offend someone? Hu Mei asked through voice transmission. Third senior sister, Duan Lingtian replied through voice transmission. In fact, before we came to the heavenly pool palace, we weren't from the boundless heaven. In other words, apart from the people in the heavenly pool palace, I haven't come into contact with anyone else. The only people I've offended are the prodigious disciples in the heavenly pool palace. If someone wants to kill me, it should be them. However, I don't think it's that easy to bribe two titled celestial emperors to kill me, right? Perhaps Han Yunjin is the only one who's capable of bribing them to kill me. Duan Lingtian speculated. Han Yunjin? Upon hearing Duan Lingtian's voice transmission, Hu Mei did not reply. Little junior brother, you think too highly of Han Yunjin? Or should I say, you think too little of the price Duguan and Dugu will have to pay? Even if Han Yunjin were to go bankrupt, he'd only be able to pay half of what the two of them are willing to kill you. Two Han Yunjin might be able to pay the price, but one Han Yunjin isn't capable of that. It was clear Hu Mei had a good understanding of the two assassins. In the heavenly pool palace, apart from the 9 titled celestial emperors, there are only a handful of people in the heavenly pool palace who are capable of bribing 2 assassins to kill you. Furthermore, none of those people have anything to do with you. Hu Mei continued to say, as for the titled celestial emperors in the heavenly pool palace, even the martial dragon celestial emperor and the profound heaven celestial emperor whose disciples you killed won't be able to bribe them to kill you. With their strength, it won't be difficult for them to kill you. At most, they'll be forced to leave the heavenly pool palace because of the conflict between them and their teacher. With their strength, they can easily join other heaven-grade forces even if they leave the heavenly pool palace and enjoy the resources of the heaven-grade forces. Upon hearing Hu Mei's words, Duan Lingtian was puzzled. Who else could it be if it was not Han Yunjin? In the end, Duan Lingtian felt it was most likely Han Yunjin was the culprit. At this moment, the young man in his early teens, The 100-variant Celestial Emperor glanced at Su Lang indifferently and said, Su Lang, our target this time is your 7th disciple, Duan Lingtian. If you hand him over to us, we'll be fine. However, if you're unwilling to hand him over, we'll have no choice but to see how strong the verdant prairie Celestial Emperor is. As Dugu Wen reached the end of his sentence, the cold light in his eyes grew even colder. At the same time, there was a strong sense of threat in his eyes. Swoosh! As soon as Dugu Wen's words left his mouth, Duan Lingtian's figure flashed and seemed to have vanished into thin air. Dugu Wen's eyes flashed coldly as he shot toward Duan Lingtian. In just a blink of an eye, he disappeared from where he was standing and chased after Duan Lingtian. When Dugu Wen confirmed Duan Lingtian's identity, he had already used his divine consciousness to lock on to Duan Lingtian. As for Dugu Wu, he remained where he was, glaring at Su Lang fiercely. It was as though he would attack if Su Lang dared to chase after Duan Lingtian. Let's return. Su Lang glanced at Dugu Wu indifferently before he led the trio back to the Heavenly Pool Palace. From the beginning until the end, he did not seem to have any intention of helping Duan Lingtian. It was not that he did not want to help Duan Lingtian, but he had no other choice. Based on the rumors, Duan Lingtian was not any weaker than him. Although he could send a message to the Heavenly Pool Palace's titled Celestial Emperors before Duan Lingtian gained the upper hand, it was highly likely that Duan Lingtian would have died by then. Dugu Wu followed Su Lang and the others for about half a day before he finally decided to leave. Since Su Lang did not chase after Duan Lingtian, he did not plan to make a move as well. After all, if he made a move, he would be in a stalemate with Su Lang for some time. Now that half a day had passed, he was no longer worried that Su Lang would interfere with Duan Lingtian's matter. For this reason, he decided to leave. Trying to leave? However, just as Dugu Wu was about to leave, Su Lang made his move. A resplendent sword light whistled through the air, following Dugu Wu like a shadow. Su Lang, how dare you attack me? Dugu Wu sneered. It'll take at least a day for the other titled Celestial Emperors of the Heavenly Pool Palace to arrive. Do you think you'll be able to withstand my attacks for a while? Dugu Wu was an old man with white hair that draped over his shoulders. His clothes were slightly sloppy, but he emitted a murderous aura. I've long heard of the indestructible Celestial Emperor's name. Since I've met you today, I'd like to see how strong you are. A cold light flashed in Su Lang's eyes. He raised his hand and a 3-foot-long green sword whizzed out. He and the sword merged into one and charged towards Dugu Wu with unparalleled sharpness. Humph! Dugu Wu snorted coldly as he charged forward. Meanwhile, Huan Hu Mei, and when Huan watched the battle from afar. Dugu Wu might be slightly stronger than Su Lang, but it was impossible for him to gain the upper hand in such a short time. After all, both of them were titled Celestial Emperors. Moreover, Su Lang was not the weakest among titled Celestial Emperors. For this reason, they were not worried that Dugu Wu would attack them. After all, Dugu Wu was too busy to make a move. If Dugu Wu attacked them, he would definitely be at a disadvantage in the battle against Su Lang. About 2 hours later, the ear-piercing sound of a saber rang in the air. A sharp saber light descended from the clouds, charging at Dugu Wu with a ferocious momentum. Dugu Wu was caught off guard by the sudden saber ray. Since he was fighting Su Lang, he felt slightly powerless even though he had noticed the saber ray. Su Lang, you tricked me. Dugu Wu let out a furious roar. Then, his body suddenly swayed. Just at that moment, the blade ray that descended from the sky chopped off one of his arms. However, Dugu Wu quickly caught the severed arm with his other hand. After that, he circulated his celestial origin energy to heal the wound on his severed arm. What Dugu Wu comprehended was the law of wood, which was full of vitality. His body was also a tenacious sky bamboo that had taken human form. Losing an arm was just a minor injury to him. In just a blink of an eye, the wound on Dugu Wu's severed arm had healed. Swoosh! Behind the blade glow, a figure stepped down from the clouds and appeared beside Su Lang. It was none other than Zheng Yu, the Copper Mountain Celestial Emperor, who had left earlier. Who are you? Dugu Wu looked at Zheng Yu with a dark expression. He did not expect Su Lang would have a helper who was also a titled Celestial Emperor in just half a day. Where's Duan Lingtian? At this moment, a figure appeared in the sky and walked toward Huan Hu Mei, and Wan It was none other than Zhang Yuyi's disciple, Nan Lufeng. Little junior brother has lured Dugu Wan away, Hu Mei said in a deep voice. Although Duan Lingtian had informed them before he left, she could not help but feel worried when she thought about how Dugu Wan was a titled celestial emperor while her little junior brother was only a titled celestial lord. At this moment, a hint of worry could be seen in Huan Er's eyes. Usually, Huan Er would not worry about Duan Lingtian since she was very confident in Duan Lingtian's strength. However, things were different today. Dugu Wan was a titled celestial emperor. He was not someone her brother Lingtian's opponents could compare to. Dugu Wan? The 100 Transformations Celestial Emperor? Does this mean the old man is Dugu Wu, the indestructible celestial emperor? Nan Lufeng looked at the old man standing opposite his teacher and Su Lang, the verdant prairie celestial emperor, in shock when he heard Hu Mei's words. Nan Lufeng was brought here by his teacher. He only said he would help Su Lang, but he did not mention who his opponent was. Now that Hu Mei had spoken, Nan Lufeng finally knew who his teacher and Su Lang were facing. Who did Duan Lingtian offend? He actually hired these two murderous gods to kill him. Nan Lufeng could not help but click his tongue. Dugu Wan and Dugu Wu were so famous that even he had heard about them. Apart from that, he also knew that the price they charged was extremely high. Moreover, celestial crystals were not enough to tempt them. If one wanted them to help, they would have to offer something that could move them. Celestial crystals would only take up a portion of the price, but most of it had to be other precious items that were priceless. Zhang Yui. On the other side, Zhang Yui answered Dugu Wu's question calmly. Copper Mountain Celestial Emperor? Dugu Wu frowned before he asked in a deep voice, "Why are you here?" Zhang Yui, the Copper Mountain Celestial Emperor, and Su Lang, the Verdant Prairie Celestial Emperor, were close. As an assassin, he was very familiar with the relationships between titled celestial emperors in the boundless heaven. Chapter 3297. As titled celestial emperor assassins in the boundless heaven, Dugu Wu and Dugu Wan would not blindly accept anyone's orders. They would not hesitate to kill titled celestial emperors who did not have a powerful background or connections. However, they would not dare to kill titled celestial emperors like Su Lang, who had the support of a heaven-grade force like the Heavenly Pool Palace for fear of angering the Heavenly Pool Palace. If they killed ordinary disciples of the Heavenly Pool Palace, even if they were the most outstanding prodigious disciples, it would only anger the Heavenly Pool Palace's titled celestial emperor. However, if they killed a titled celestial emperor from the Heavenly Pool Palace, it would be akin to challenging the authority of the Heavenly Pool Palace. If the Heavenly Pool Palace sent out all of its titled celestial emperors, it would be a disaster for them. Naturally, there were also some titled celestial emperors who did not dare to act recklessly. For example, Zhang Yui, the Copper Mountain Celestial Emperor, was currently standing in front of Dugu Wu. Although Zhang Yui did not belong to any heaven-grade force, his elder brother was one of the top 3 titled celestial emperors in a heaven-grade force. Killing Zhang Yui would be akin to offending the titled celestial emperor. For this reason, Dugu Wu felt a headache coming on when he saw Zhang Yui. He was not in the mood to continue fighting. All he wanted to do was to retreat. However, Su Lang and Zhang Yui had no intention of letting him go. "Since you're here, stay," Su Lang said coldly. Then, he joined forces with Zhang Yui to attack Dugu Wu. In the end, Dugu Wu was forced to reveal his true form. A tenacious heavenly bamboo that looked like a pillar that could support the heavens descended from the sky and met Su Lang and Zhang Yui head-on. "Su Lang, Zhang Yui, don't blame me for being rude if you continue to fight." In the end, the sullen Dugu Wu also became angry. He completely displayed his strength and turned the tables around. However, when he had turned the tables around, he didn't launch another attack. Instead, he took the opportunity to retreat, not daring to continue fighting. With his strength, it would be extremely difficult for him to fight Su Lang and Zhang Yui together. If he dragged the battle on, Su Lang might bring a titled celestial emperor from the Heavenly Pool Palace to help him. At that time, even he would have to die. For this reason, he took the opportunity to flee. Su Lang, that seventh disciple of yours is really a troublemaker. Even assassins like Dugu Wan and Dugu Wu are involved. Who exactly did he offend? Zhang Yui looked at Su Lang and asked. I don't know. As Su Lang shook his head, his expression turned slightly gloomy. Before his seventh disciple left, Duan Lingtian had communicated with him through voice transmission. For this reason, he knew his seventh disciple would not offend anyone in the boundless heaven apart from those from the heavenly pool palace. The most suspicious person was the disciple of the profound heaven celestial emperor, Han Yunji. However, as the saying goes, dirty linen should not be aired in public. Even though he suspected Han Yunjin, he did not tell Zhang Yui. In that case, Dugu Wan went to chase after your seventh disciple? Zhang Yui asked again.
Yes.
Su Lang nodded. His eyes were filled with worry. Although his seventh disciple had said that he was confident before he left, he could not help but feel worried. After all, although his seventh disciple was strong, he was only comparable to an ordinary celestial emperor at most. However, Dugu Wan was not an ordinary celestial emperor. He was a titled celestial emperor. Thank you for your help. It's time for us to return. Su Lang bade farewell to Zhang Yui before he led the three girls back to the heavenly pool palace. At this moment, he could not chase after Duan Lingtian even if he wanted to. Let's wait for little junior brother's message. He said he'll send us a message as soon as he's safe. When Wanner said. Before Duan Lingtian left, he had told Su Lang and the others through voice transmission that he would send them a message as soon as he was safe. Although they wanted to ask about Duan Lingtian's situation, they were worried that Duan Lingtian would be distracted. If a titled celestial emperor were to chase after him, even a slight distraction could put him in a perilous situation. For this reason, even Huan did not dare to rashly send a message to Duan Lingtian. She could only pray that her brother Lingtian was fine. In the boundless territory. Somewhere in the boundless territory. Brat, even if you've comprehended the teleportation profundity to the mastery stage, you still won't be able to escape from me. A young man moved as fast as a ghost. Although the person in front of him had traveled 2,000 miles in just a blink of an eye, he was still able to catch up to him. Moreover, as time passed, the distance between them continued to decrease. As expected of a titled celestial emperor. He's really fast. The young man was none other than Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian teleported again and again in order to avoid the young man's pursuit. His expression turned slightly solemn as he did so. It's about time. At this moment, the world-cleansing divine water's voice rang in Duan Lingtian's ears. If you continue to flee, it'll take a long time for Duan Lingtian to catch up to you. If you ask your teacher, Su Lang, to stop Duan Lingtian for a while, the world-cleansing divine water said. Duan Lingtian nodded. Based on the world-cleansing divine water's words, it was clear that Su Lang had been instructed by Duan Lingtian to stop Duan Lingtian. However, even Duan Lingtian would not expect Su Lang to ask Zhang Yui to help him stop Duan Lingtian. All right. Duan Lingtian nodded when he heard the world-cleansing divine water's words. Then, he stopped teleporting and turned around to look at the young man who had appeared in front of him in just a blink of an eye. You should have done this earlier. The youthful Dugu Wan looked at Duan Lingtian as a cold smile appeared on the corners of his mouth. However, since you didn't cooperate, I won't leave your corpse intact. Based on Duan Lingtian's words, it was clear he had already treated Duan Lingtian as a dead man. You're just a flower in human form. How boastful of you. Duan Lingtian smiled indifferently as a mocking smile appeared on his face. You're seeking death. Duan Lingtian's eyes turned cold as he moved. His celestial origin energy surged out of his body before it turned green. Vines shot out of his body and shot toward Duan Lingtian like angry dragons. As a titled celestial emperor, Dugu Wan was a 7-star celestial emperor. His celestial origin energy that had been boosted by the law of wood was extremely domineering. In just a blink of an eye, Duan Lingtian felt an intense pressure weighing down on him. Duan Lingtian could not help but feel suffocated. After taking a deep breath, Duan Lingtian's face tensed up, and with a thought, a silhouette condensed into form around him. Shockingly, it was a small tree. In the blink of an eye, that small tree grew rapidly and became a towering tree. At first glance, the tree resembled a pine tree. However, the branches and leaves on the tree were completely different. They looked more like willows grafted onto the tree. The pine willow divine tree? Duguwen narrowed his eyes when he saw the silhouette that appeared on Duanling Tian. You're not human? That's not right. You're not the pine willow divine tree. It's the godly image avatar. In just a blink of an eye, Duguwen discovered Duanling Tian's technique was the godly image phenomenon of the pine willow divine tree. In terms of grade, the pine willow divine tree was on par with the 100 colors flower. It was comparable to a top-tier celestial beast. Brat, so what if you have the godly image avatar of the pine willow divine tree? You're just a celestial lord. Even if you have a title, do you think you can fight a titled celestial emperor like me? Duguwen laughed in disdain, his tone filled with disdain. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. At the same time, Duguwen's technique, the vines that were like raging dragons, swept across the sky and charged toward Duanling Tian. It was as though he wanted to kill him immediately. Duanling Tian's expression remained calm in the face of Duguwen's ferocious attack. After a while, a gray energy rose from his body and merged with the godly image avatar of the pine willow divine tree. At the same time, a rainbow-colored sword ray swept out from his body and merged with the pine willow divine tree's godly image celestial body, causing the branches and leaves of the pine willow divine tree to turn colorful. Clear heaven's divine wood. With just a thought, Duanling Tian sent out a surge of energy from the clear heaven's divine wood that merged with the godly image avatar of the pine willow divine tree. In an instant, the pine willow divine tree's godly image celestial body trembled and gradually solidified. In the end, it seemed to have turned into a real pine willow divine tree. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. The branches and leaves of the pine willow divine tree shook violently, bringing with them a 7-colored light. The 7-colored light contained a sharp killing intent as it met the vines that were whizzing towards them. Bang, 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 bang. A series of explosions rang in the air as the branches of the pine willow divine tree collided with the vines formed by Duguwen's energy. Waves of shock waves spread out, and small mushroom clouds bloomed one after another, looking incomparably resplendent. When the mushroom clouds collided with the shock waves, a series of deafening explosions rang in the air as though Mars had collided with Earth. Boom, boom, boom. A frightening energy ripple raged in the sky and spread down, causing the surrounding land to shake. It was as though an intense earthquake had occurred. At the same time, countless cracks appeared on the towering mountain between Duanling Tian and Duguwen. After a while, the towering giant mountain shook for a while and directly collapsed. Like a high-rise building on Earth that was demolished by blasting, it fell to the ground one by one, raising a cloud of dust into the sky. I didn't expect you to be able to block my casual attack. Your attack is so powerful that it's comparable to the full-powered attack of an ordinary celestial emperor. When the huge mountain fell, Duguwen's exclamation resounded at the right time. Chapter 3298. Duguwen's eyes were filled with disdain as he looked at Duanling Tian's pine willow divine tree. Although he was impressed by Duanling Tian's strength, it was not enough to threaten him. After all, he was a 7-star celestial emperor and a titled celestial emperor. His strength was not something an ordinary celestial emperor could compare to. In fact, if he unleashed his full strength, even an ordinary celestial emperor would not be able to withstand a single blow from him. Duanling Tian, I have to admit that your strength is truly shocking. You should be proud of your strength as a mere celestial lord, Duguwen said as he looked at the pine willow divine tree. Duguwen looked at the pine willow divine tree in front of him and said to Duanling Tian, who was controlling the pine willow divine tree, to fight him. Duguwen could not see Duanling Tian at this moment since the pine willow divine tree looked more like a real pine willow divine tree instead of a godly image avatar. However, your little bit of strength is nothing in front of me, Duguwen. As soon as Duguwen's voice fell, he raised his hands, and a 7-feet-long spear appeared in his hands. It didn't match his appearance of a 10-year-old boy at all. Duguwen's spear had come out of his body. It was obvious he had kept it in his body before this. Dugu Wen's spear had to be an Emperor-grade celestial weapon at the very least. You talk too much. Duan Lingtian's voice rang from the pine willow divine tree as soon as Dugu Wen took out his celestial weapon. He seemed to be provoking Dugu Wen. Dugu Wen narrowed his eyes when he heard Duan Lingtian's words. His face seemed to be covered with a layer of cold light as he emitted waves of coldness. "You're seeking death," Dugu Wen said coldly. Then, he shook the long spear in his hand. Waves of green energy surged out of the long spear and formed tens of thousands of green spear rays in the air. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. The spear lights that filled the sky descended. Halfway through, it was as if water had condensed into ice. The jade-green spear lights that filled the sky actually transformed into a substantial jade-green bamboo spear. After turning into a green bamboo spear, the spear moved even faster. It was as though it could pierce through anything. Oomph! Along with Dugu Wen's cold snort, apart from a portion of the bamboo spears that filled the sky that charged toward Duan Lingtian, the rest of the bamboo spears circled around and attacked Duan Lingtian. The green bamboo spear, which had gone the furthest, circled to a place far behind Duan Lingtian. Then, it turned around and charged at Duan Lingtian. To be more precise, they were charging towards the pine willow divine tree that Duan Lingtian had conjured. Once his godly image Dharma body was destroyed, Duan Lingtian would have to face the onslaught of bamboo spears. Rip, rip, rip. The sky was filled with green bamboo spears, and each of them carried a fierce power that seemed to be able to pierce through space. They came with a menacing momentum, as if they were going to pierce through Duan Lingtian's heart with 10,000 spears. "Brat, I'd like to see how you're going to block my attack," Dugu Wen sneered. "I've used all the profundities from the law of wood that I've comprehended. Although I didn't use the combination profundity, no one below the level of a titled Celestial Emperor will be able to block my attack." Not only did Dugu Wen's attack contain all the profundities from the law of wood to the mastery stage, but he had also used his Emperor-grade celestial weapon, the spear in his hand. Duan Lingtian's expression turned grim when he heard Dugu Wen's words. At the same time, he summoned the other 4 divine elements in his little world. Previously, he had borrowed the energy of the clear heaven's divine wood from the 5 divine elements. It was also the reason why his pine willow divine tree's godly image Dharma body was so strong. Even so, it was still difficult for him to block Dugu Wen's attack earlier. At that moment, Dugu Wen's attack was incomparable to his previous attacks. Even he felt as if he could smell the scent of death at that moment. "Come out." As soon as Duan Lingtian asked the 4 divine elements for help, the world-cleansing divine water was the first to step forward and lend its energy to Duan Lingtian. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. After the world-cleansing divine water, the profound divine metal, the chaos divine flame, and the chaos divine earth did not hesitate to lend their energy to Duan Lingtian as well. In terms of time spent with Duan Lingtian, the world-cleansing divine water and the clear heavens divine wood could not compare to them. Now that Duan Lingtian needed their help, it was only natural that they did not hesitate to lend their strength to him. "Brat, kill him." The chaos divine earth's childish voice rang in the air. Now that it was residing in Duan Lingtian's body, it had already tasted the sweetness of its transformation. In the long history of heaven and earth, not many chaos divine earths were able to transform from the 3rd form to the 6th form in just a month. However, the chaos divine earth had done it. This was all thanks to Duan Lingtian and Duan Lingtian's fortuitous encounter. Otherwise, if it was another host, he would be considered lucky to be able to transform into the 4th form. So what if he's a titled Celestial Emperor? How can a mere titled Celestial Emperor stand in the way of someone who has been acknowledged by the 5 divine elements? The profound divine metal scoffed. One has to step on the corpses of gods to become a supreme powerhouse. Similarly, one has to step on the corpses of titled Celestial Emperors in the Devata realms to become a god. The chaos divine flame chimed in. In just a blink of an eye, the energy of the 4 divine elements merged with the 7-colored pine willow divine tree and merged with the energy of the clear heavens divine wood. However, Since the pine willow divine tree had merged with the seven-colored seven orifices exquisite sword, the five divine elements' energy could not be seen with the naked eye. The energy of the five divine elements was shrouded by the energy of the pine willow divine tree. The godly image phenomenon of the pine willow divine tree was formed by Duan Ling Tian by refining the vitality of a real pine willow divine tree. After the clear heavens divine would merged with the godly image phenomenon of the pine willow divine tree, it was no different from the real pine willow divine tree. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. The emerald bamboo spears that covered the sky tore through the sky towards Duan Ling Tian, and they were like numerous green threads that flashed past as if they wanted to penetrate Duan Ling Tian's body and leave behind a corpse that was riddled with holes. You said no one below the level of a titled celestial emperor would be able to withstand your attack? Duan Ling Tian sneered disdainfully from the godly image phenomenon of the pine willow divine tree. Shameless boasting. Today, I, the celestial emperor, will show you that even I can easily withstand your boastful attack. As soon as Duan Ling Tian finished speaking, the branches of the godly image phenomenon of the pine willow divine tree began to dance again. Swoosh. At this moment, Huang the sword soul of the seven orifices exquisite sword, appeared next to Duan Ling Tian. Her seven-colored celestial robe flashed, and she transformed into a seven-colored ray of light that merged with the pine willow divine tree. In just a blink of an eye, the seven orifices exquisite sword that had merged with the pine willow divine tree became much more powerful. A divine artifact with and without an artifact soul were two completely different concepts. Dugu One narrowed his eyes when he saw Huang transforming into a seven-colored ray of light that merged with the pine willow divine tree and the seven orifices exquisite sword. An artifact soul? No, it's not an artifact soul. If it's not an artifact soul, then it's an artifact soul? This brat's weapon is a divine artifact? Dugu Wan was certain Duan Lingtian's weapon was not an emperor-grade celestial weapon, but a divine artifact with an artifact soul. I didn't expect I'd be so lucky to obtain a divine artifact. Dugu Wan laughed heartily. It was as though Duan Lingtian's divine artifact was already in his possession. However, the smile on his face quickly froze. This was because his attacks had all landed on the pine willow divine tree. They clashed with the dancing branches of the pine willow divine tree. It was like an army of thousands of men and horses clashing. The smile on Dugu Wen's face froze for no reason other than the fact that the pine willow godly tree was able to shatter a bamboo spear with every swing of its branches. Bang, 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 bang. Although the bamboo spears in the sky were ferocious, they were shattered by the willow branches when they reached the vicinity of the pine willow divine tree. Not a single one was spared. In just a blink of an eye, more than half of the bamboo spears were destroyed. How's this possible? Dugu Wan was shocked when he saw this. At the same time, a hint of greed flashed in his eyes. His divine artifact. It's definitely not an ordinary divine artifact. Dugu Wan attributed Duan Lingtian's strength to the divine artifact that Duan Lingtian was using. He could not figure out what other tricks Duan Lingtian had up his sleeves. Duan Lingtian's strength had been fully displayed to Dugu Wan. He had comprehended all the profundities from the law of space to the mastery stage, his godly image celestial body, and his divine artifact. Brat, I didn't expect you to have such a powerful divine artifact. However, it's an insult for you to use such a powerful divine artifact. Dugu Wan sneered. It won't be long before this divine artifact will belong to me. I have to admit that the strength you've displayed with this divine artifact is truly shocking. However, it all ends here now. As Dugu Wan spoke, his eyes flashed coldly. The emperor-grade celestial weapon in his hand shook violently as it emitted a terrifying aura. Beams of green light shot out from Dugu Wan's body. Thousands of them looked like green ribbons. A powerful aura surged out of Dugu Wan's body. Now, I'll show you the profundity of combining profundities from the law of space. Although you've comprehended one of the four supreme laws, the law of space, and all the profundities from the law of space to the mastery stage, you're still far from comprehending the profundity of combining profundities from the law of space. However, now that you've met me, you're destined to never comprehend the profundity of combining profundities from the law of space. Dugu Wen's voice was filled with indifference. It was as though he was talking to a dead person. Dugu Wen was gathering his strength to make a move. Meanwhile, Duan Lingtian's godly image celestial body from the pine willow divine tree destroyed the bamboo spears that were attacking him. Chapter 3300. Comprehending all profundities to the mastery stage was not the end of one's comprehension of profundities. In fact, when a person comprehended all the profundities of a law to the profound realm, it was only the beginning to a certain extent. When a person comprehended all the profundities to the mastery stage, they would still have to work together like 1 + 1 = 2. However, if one grasped the mysteries of the combination of laws and profundities, the combination of two laws and profundities would not be as simple as 1 + 1 = 2. At the very least, it would be equivalent to 1 + 1 = 3, and the increase in power would be even greater. For example, the 100-variant celestial emperor, Dugu Wen, had not comprehended all the profundities from the law of wood to the mastery stage before he became a celestial emperor. However, not long after he became a celestial emperor, he managed to comprehend all the profundities from the law of wood to the mastery stage. After that, he began to study the combination profundities from the law of wood. For example, his greatest achievement in the law of wood was to perfectly fuse the vine profundities, the twining profundities, and the regenerative profundities. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. At this moment, the streaks of green light that resembled ribbons that whistled out of Dugu Wen's body quickly condensed into long vines. They were like gigantic pythons that whistled out toward Duan Lingtian. Brat, have a taste of my combination of 3 profundities from the law of wood. Dugu Wen sneered as he looked at the pine willow divine tree in the distance, which had just shattered his attack. Naturally, his words were not directed at the pine willow divine tree. The pine willow divine tree was only a godly image phenomenon. Dugu Wen's words were directed at Duan Lingtian. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Vines that resembled giant pythons shot out from Dugu Wen's body continuously as though they would never stop. The vines tore through the air and swept over in all directions. They seemed to cover the sky and the sun, causing the surrounding area to fall into darkness. Fused profundities? Duan Lingtian, who was inside the godly image phenomenon of the pine willow divine tree, turned solemn when he heard Dugu Wen's words and saw Dugu Wen's technique. Previously, when Huang Xiaolong had comprehended all the profundities of space law to major completion, he had used his Supreme Master's Godhead to continue evolving the space law profundities. He had confirmed that reaching major completion in space law profundities was not the end. Later on, Duan Lingtian communicated with the world-cleansing divine water and learned that after comprehending all the profundities of the law of space to the mastery stage, there would be a higher level of comprehension. It was the combination of different powers Upanishads. It was called the Fused Power Upanishad. Of course, fused profundities referred to the fusion of profundities from a certain law. It could be the fusion of 2 profundities, 3 profundities, or even 4 profundities. The most powerful aspect of comprehending the profundities of a law was to fuse the 8 profundities of a law together. In the Devata realms, nobody was able to do that. Let alone in the Devata realms, even in the realms of gods, it was rare for someone to be able to do that. Those who were able to do that were the cream of the crop in the realms of gods. Those who were able to comprehend the 4 supreme laws to such a level were able to fuse 8 profundities of a law together and become a supreme powerhouse. The further one cultivates, the harder it is to fuse profundities of a law together. In the Devata realms, it's extremely rare for someone to be able to fuse 4 profundities of a law together. Even the heavenly emperors of the Devata realms are not able to fuse 4 profundities of a law together. Even so, the heavenly emperors of the Devata realms would usually be able to fuse 3 profundities of a law together. For this reason, they're much stronger than ordinary titled celestial emperors. For an ordinary titled celestial emperor like Dugu Wen, He's considered quite strong if he's able to fuse 3 profundities of a law together. If he's able to fuse 2 profundities of the law of wood together and become a 10-direction celestial emperor, he'll definitely be one of the strongest titled celestial emperors in the boundless heaven. Duan Lingtian was aware of this as well. As Duan Lingtian's thoughts raced through his mind, the python-like vines that had fused 3 profundities of the law of wood together had already reached Duan Lingtian's pine willow divine tree. Humph! Duan Lingtian's eyes turned cold as he scoffed inwardly. At the same time, the pine willow divine tree's branches began to sway again. Bang! 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 Another series of explosions rang in the air as the 7 colored branches of the pine willow divine tree collided with the python-like vines. In the beginning, the vines were all broken apart. However, in the blink of an eye, they were completely healed. At the same time, they began to coil around the willow branches and tie them together. In just a blink of an eye, Duan Lingtian's godly image phenomenon from the pine willow divine tree did not only fail to destroy the vines, but they were also bound by the vines, rendering them immobile. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. However, at this moment, the green ribbons in Dugu Zheng's body continued to sweep out and transformed into numerous python-like vines that whistled towards Duan Lingtian. So this is the power of fused profundities? It's just the fusion of 3 profundities, but it's much more powerful than the 7 chaotic profundities from the law of wood that Dugu Wen had cast earlier. Moreover, this isn't Dugu Wen's full strength. He hasn't used the other 5 profundities from the law of wood yet. Even if those 5 powers Upanishads haven't fused and are in a mess, when they are used together with the 3 powers Upanishads, they are enough to kill me easily. Duan Lingtian, who was standing in the pine willow divine image, had a solemn expression on his face. In the past, he had only heard about how terrifying fused profundities were. Although he had seen titled celestial emperors in action, he had witnessed how his teacher, Su Lang and Lei Ying, the merciless celestial emperor, fought against Gu Changjiang, the martial dragon celestial emperor, in the prodigy arena. However, he was only a bystander at that time. Moreover, the 2 titled celestial emperors were so fast that he did not realize how terrifying their techniques were. Now that Duan Lingtian had personally witnessed the might of a titled celestial emperor, he finally understood how terrifying a titled celestial emperor was. Not only were titled celestial emperors powerful, but their comprehension of the profundities from the law was also superior to ordinary celestial emperors. Brat, you're just a mere celestial lord, but you're able to force me, a 7-star celestial emperor, to use the fusion of 3 profundities. Dugu Wen's voice was indifferent. Dugu Wen was still shocked by Duan Lingtian's strength, even though he thought Duan Lingtian had relied on his Devata artifact. After you die, I will let the divine artifact in your hands shine with its true glory. Based on Dugu Wen's words, it was clear that not only did he think Duan Lingtian would die, but he also thought Duan Lingtian's Devata artifact was already his. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. The vines whistled out one after another as they pounced at Duan Lingtian like numerous frenzied pythons. It caused Duan Lingtian to feel the pressure increase greatly. Swoosh, swoosh. Along with a series of soft sounds, bursts of vigorous vitality suddenly extended from the pine willow divine tree's godly aspect spell body. Now that the life force was present, its life force rose, causing many willow branches to extend from the pine willow divine tree. They attacked with all their might, blocking the python-like vines that were whizzing towards them. Let's see how many more willow branches you can stretch out. Seeing that Duan Lingtian was still stubbornly resisting, Duan Lingtian smiled coldly. After a wave of vines entangled the wave of willow branches, green ribbons once again shot out from his body, turning into vines and attacking Duan Lingtian. It was like there was no end to it. Little Tian, the divine tree of life will only be able to help you grow more than 100 willow branches at most. However, I don't see him using any profundities from the law of wood. I'm sure he's planning to kill you with just the 3 profundities from the law of wood. At this moment, the world-cleansing divine water's voice rang in Duan Lingtian's ears. This is your chance. If he's using any other profundities from the Law of Wood, you won't have much confidence in killing him. However, I dare not say I'm confident, but I'm sure you'll be able to kill him. The world-cleansing divine water said. Now, I'm ready. Based on the world-cleansing divine water's words, it was clear she had been preparing for something good. Inside the pine willow divine tree's godly image avatar, Duan Lingtian's eyes flashed before his expression turned cold. In that case, let's begin. With just a thought, Duan Lingtian's space energy surged before he cast the transportation profundity. Then, he sent the two behemoths in his small world behind Duguwan. Roar! Roar! Duan Lingtian was looking at the pine willow divine tree's godly image avatar with a cold expression on his face. He was certain he would be able to kill Duan Lingtian when two loud roars rang in the air. Duan Lingtian's expression changed drastically. In fact, he had already noticed something was amiss when he heard the two loud roars. Before he could react, two deafening roars rang in the air. Although he was a titled celestial emperor and had seen many things in his life, he could not help but tremble in fear. Boom! Rumble! Just as the green ribbons that shot out from Duguwan's body trembled, and he was about to leave his original spot, the two forces that had fused together landed on his body like a cannonball that could destroy the world. Although Duan Lingtian's purely defensive emperor-grade celestial weapon rose up in time, it still dimmed under the force of the attack. Chapter 3301. At this moment, the two behemoths behind Duguwan were none other than the two Ning dragons. Previously, in the Genius Secret Realm in the Jade Emperor Heavens, Nando territory, Huan had made a pact with the two Ning dragons to bring them out of the Genius Secret Realm. For this reason, the Ning dragons had allowed Duan Lingtian and the others to enter God's secret treasure in advance. In the end, with the help of the world-cleansing divine water, the two Ning dragons were willing to follow Duan Lingtian for the time being. When the time came, Duan Lingtian would have to return the favor to them. If they join forces and unleash their full strength, their attack is comparable to the full-strength attack of an ordinary titled celestial emperor. However, they can only unleash such an attack 3 times at most. The world-cleansing divine water's words rang in Duan Lingtian's ears. For this reason, after the two Ning dragons injured Duan Lingtian did not hesitate. He leaped into the air with the 7 orifices exquisite sword in his hand. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. The sound of swords whistling could be heard as beams of rainbow-colored sword radiance fell like a rain of swords, cutting off the willow branches and vines that were wrapped around the pine willow divine tree. Under normal circumstances, with Duguwan's fused profundity, the vines would be able to heal themselves and continue to bind the willow branches. However, the current situation was not normal at all. Duguwan was injured. Moreover, he was severely injured. Barf! Duan Lingtian spat out a mouthful of blood. When he regained his senses, he saw Duan Lingtian had already severed the vines. Duan Lingtian's expression darkened as he glared at Duan Lingtian coldly. Brat, you tricked me. Now, if he still couldn't react, then he would have lived for so many years in vain. Swoosh! At the same time, Duguwan's figure flashed, and he dodged the attacks of the two Ning dragons. However, just as he moved, the willow branches of the pine willow divine tree broke free from the restraints and followed him like a shadow. In the blink of an eye, they turned into a cage and trapped Duguwan within. Withdraw! Duan Lingtian's gaze turned cold. The willow branches of the pine willow divine tree wrapped around Duguwan and pulled him back. In the end, Duguwan stood motionless in the air. The pine willow divine tree's avatar was pulled to its limit, and it flew towards Duguwan. Attack! The world-cleansing divine water's voice entered Duan Lingtian and the Ning dragon's ears almost simultaneously, causing them to tremble slightly. Following that, the two Ning dragons flew out as fast as they could. Once again, they joined forces and launched an all-out attack. A terrifying power swept out and swept towards Duguwan, who was trapped in the willow branches of the pine tree. No! Duguwan stood on the spot and gathered his strength. Just as he was about to break through the pine willow divine tree's encirclement, he was met with the full force of the two Ning dragons. Boom! Rumble! With a series of explosions, Dugu-won, who had not been able to break free in time, received another attack from the two Ning dragons while he was heavily injured. Blood spurted out of his mouth, and his face was covered in blood, making him look quite ferocious. Damn it! A mere celestial lord actually forced me, Dugu-won, to such a state. Unforgivable. Unforgivable. Dugu-won was completely enraged. In just a blink of an eye, Dugu-won's body swayed before he transformed into a thread and easily broke free from the pine willow divine tree's encirclement. This was one of the 100 transformations Dugu-won could perform as a 100 colors flower. You're finally out? Dugu-won thought he had successfully escaped from the pine willow divine tree's encirclement, but he saw Duan Lingtian waiting outside. Brat, without the pine willow divine tree, you won't be a match for me even if I'm severely injured. In just a blink of an eye, the thread transformed into a young man who stared at Duan Lingtian coldly. At the same time, he brandished his emperor-grade celestial weapon and charged toward Duan Lingtian. He knew he had to kill Duan Lingtian as soon as possible. Otherwise, if the pine willow divine tree's willow branches and the Ning dragons arrived, he would definitely die with his severely injured body. Dugu-won felt extremely humiliated. He was a titled celestial emperor, and yet he was forced into such a state by a mere celestial lord. Needless to say, he knew the celestial lord before him was not an ordinary celestial lord. Putting aside the pine willow divine tree godly image phenomenon, just the two Ning dragons alone were comparable to a titled celestial emperor. Duan Lingtian's injuries were caused by the two Ning dragons. Duan Lingtian, I'd like to see how you're going to fight me without the two Ning dragons and the pine willow divine tree's godly image phenomenon, Dugu-won said as he stepped forward. His celestial origin energy swirled around his spear as he unleashed all the profundities he had comprehended from the Law of Wood. The three profundities from the Law of Wood were the first to charge at Duan Lingtian. It was as though they had transformed into pythons as they charged at Duan Lingtian. At the same time, Dugu-won was also able to unleash the other profundities from the Law of Wood. With your injuries, your celestial origin energy is only comparable to an ordinary celestial lord at most. It's not enough to kill me. Faced with Dugu-won, who was charging at him menacingly, Duan Lingtian did not dodge at all. There was a sneer on the corner of his mouth as he charged forward. The seven orifices exquisite sword in his hand moved and merged with his body. In the next moment, when the seven orifices exquisite sword appeared again, he opened his mouth and spat out a seven-colored sword ray that carried 5 extremely powerful forces towards Dugu-won. At this moment, Duan Lingtian's attack was so close that Dugu-won could clearly sense the energy of the 5 elemental laws contained in the attack. Boom! Rumble! However, before Dugu-won could even react, Duan Lingtian's 7-colored sword ray had already destroyed his 2 waves of attacks as easily as crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood. There was no doubt that Dugu-won's comprehension of the Law of Wood was powerful. However, no matter how powerful the profundities were, they still required celestial origin energy to activate. Currently, Dugu-won's celestial origin energy was extremely weak. His celestial origin energy was, at most, comparable to Duan Lingtian's celestial origin energy. Under such circumstances, even if Duan Lingtian had comprehended all the profundities from the law of space to the mastery stage, he was still no match for Dugu-won. Their celestial origin energies were similar, and their comprehension of the profundities from the law of space was similar. Therefore, Duan Lingtian was much stronger than Dugu-won. Under such circumstances, one could easily imagine who was stronger and who was weaker. Dugu-won thought this was the reason he had tried his best to kill Duan Lingtian even though he was severely injured. In his opinion, as long as he killed Duan Lingtian, he would have a chance to live. However, he did not expect Duan Lingtian's strength was not as simple as someone who had comprehended all the profundities from the law of space to the mastery stage. He has 5 divine elements. This was the only thought in Dugu-won's mind before he died. As soon as Duan Lingtian's attack destroyed Dugu-won's attack, Dugu Wan was certain Duan Lingtian's sword contained the energy of the 5 divine elements. Furthermore, it was the power of the 5 divine elements. Furthermore, those 5 divine elements were all in very different forms. Phew! After killing Dugu Wan, Duan Lingtian heaved a long sigh of relief. I only revealed the 5 divine elements at the very last moment. It's impossible for him to have spread the news in such a short time. Duan Lingtian had indeed guessed correctly. Dugu Wan had only discovered Duan Lingtian had the 5 divine elements before he died. However, while Dugu Wan was escaping from the pine willow divine tree's willow branches, he sent several voice transmissions to Dugu Wu. Brother Wu, I might die in this brat's hands. I was too careless. I didn't expect him to possess a powerful Devata artifact that contains an artifact soul and 2 Ning dragons whose combined strength is comparable to a titled celestial emperor. I'm heavily injured by the Ning dragons. I only have a chance of survival if I kill him. If I don't kill him, I'll definitely die. If I kill him, I might be killed by the Ning dragons as well. Come here as soon as possible. Before Dugu Wan made his move against Duan Lingtian, he sent a few more messages to Dugu Wu. Let's go. After killing Dugu Wan, Duan Lingtian took Dugu Wen's spatial ring. Then, he summoned the 2 Ning dragons back to his little world before he teleported away. Although he was certain Dugu Wan would not have spread the news about him possessing the 5 divine elements, Dugu Wu must have known Dugu Wen's whereabouts. However, Dugu Wu definitely knew that Dugu Wen had made a move against him here, and he was most likely on his way here right now. Even if his teacher, Su Lang, wanted to stall for time, he wouldn't be able to do so for long. For this reason, Duan Lingtian's first thought after killing Dugu Wan was to flee as far as he could. Naturally, Duan Lingtian did not forget to send a few messages to Huan Su Lang, and the others to let them know he was safe. I'm fine now. You all should return to the Heavenly Pool Palace first. I'll go back first, Duan Lingtian said to Huan and the others. When Huan and the others received Duan Lingtian's message on their way back to the Heavenly Pool Palace, they heaved a sigh of relief. Prior to this, they had remained silent throughout the journey. Their hearts had been heavy. However, now that they knew Duan Lingtian had escaped, they felt as though a huge rock had been lifted from their chests. Little junior brother, how did you escape? Humei asked curiously. I killed him. Naturally, I was free. At this moment, Duan Lingtian was not only responding to Humei's question, but he was also responding to Su Lang and Wan who had asked the same question. Huan was the only one who did not ask. Humei, Su Lang, and Wan were shocked by Duan Lingtian's words. Duan Lingtian said, he had killed Dugu Wan? Was that possible? Meanwhile, Dugu Wu, who was rushing towards the location where Dugu Wan and Duan Lingtian were fighting, suddenly seemed to have noticed something. He abruptly stopped moving and looked at the soul pearl fragment that appeared out of thin air in his hand. His expression abruptly changed. Little brother one. Chapter 3302. Not many people knew that Dugu Wu's true form, the tenacious heavenly bamboo, and Dugu Wen's true form, the 100-color flower, had grown together. They had supported each other for so long that they were even closer to each other than brothers. However, Dugu Wan was dead. Dugu Wu's celestial origin energy surged out of his body as profundities surged out of his body. He did not hold back at all as he charged toward the location Dugu Wan had told him about. However, when Dugu Wu arrived at the location, he could not see anyone at all. It was a complete mess. Dugu Wu extended his divine consciousness to search the area, but he did not find anything. Duan Lingtian. Dugu Wu's wizened face was particularly ferocious at this moment. His grayish-white hair fluttered in the air even though there was no wind. Little brother one, don't worry. I'll avenge you. A hint of hatred flashed in Dugu Wu's eyes. Although he hated Duan Lingtian, he was also shocked by Duan Lingtian's strength. He did not expect a mere celestial lord to have so many tricks up his sleeve. Was Duan Lingtian still human? If little brother one is not mistaken, his Devata artifact would be a top-tier Devata artifact even in the realms of gods. Otherwise, it wouldn't be able to grant him such strength. Greed surged in Dugu Wu's eyes, and he couldn't stop himself. Little did he know that when he was fighting Duan Lingtian, he had forgotten about the Devata artifact in Duan Lingtian's possession. When he saw the power of the 5 divine elements, he realized he had overestimated the power of Duan Lingtian's Devata artifact. At that moment, Du Guwen finally realized something. The reason Duan Lingtian's pine willow divine tree was so powerful was not because of the Devata artifact in Duan Lingtian's possession, but because of the 5 divine elements' power. Naturally, Du Guwen only found out about this before he died. He did not even have time to send a message to Du Gu. For this reason, Du Gu was unaware of this. Humph! It was highly likely that Duan Lingtian had returned to the Heavenly Pool Palace. I'll go to the Heavenly Pool Palace and see if I can find him. Although Du Guwen had died at the hands of Duan Lingtian, he was confident in his own strength. His strength was not something that Du Guwen could compare to. In fact, if Duan Lingtian fought with him, as long as he didn't hold back, Du Guwen would die much faster than fighting with Duan Lingtian. After leaving the place where Duan Lingtian had killed Du Guwen, he took a huge detour and returned from the other side of the Heavenly Pool Palace. He didn't dare to walk in a straight line. Because of this, he successfully avoided Du Guwen. Although the Supreme Godhead has the fusion profundity to evolve the law of space, I can't figure it out at all. It seems like it has something to do with my cultivation. Duan Lingtian guessed. He still remembered that when he was still a celestial duke, he could not advance any further after comprehending all the profundities from the law of space to the initial stage. Even the Supreme Godhead did not help him advance any further. It was only when he became a celestial lord that he managed to comprehend all the profundities from the law of space to the mastery stage with the help of the Supreme Godhead. Based on my previous experience, perhaps I'll be able to comprehend the fusion profundity from the law of space with the help of the Supreme Godhead after I become a celestial emperor. Duan Lingtian asked for the world-cleansing divine water's opinion as he speculated. That should be the case. The world-cleansing divine water's answer was simple. At the very least, I haven't seen anyone below the celestial emperor realm being able to comprehend the fusion profundity from the law of space. Perhaps it's limited by the laws of heaven and earth. The world-cleansing divine water's answer was similar to Duan Lingtian's speculation. Don't focus on comprehending the law of space. Focus on your cultivation and raise your cultivation base as soon as possible. The world-cleansing divine water suggested. Duan Lingtian nodded. Compared to when he was still in the Jade Emperor Heaven, he had only become a 5-element celestial lord. There was still a long way to go for a 5-element celestial lord to become a celestial emperor. After returning to the Heavenly Pool Palace, I'll think of a way to raise my cultivation base as soon as possible so that I can comprehend the fusion profundity from the law of space as soon as possible. Duan Lingtian had witnessed the might of the fusion profundity during his battle with Du Guwen. Moreover, that's only the fusion of 3 profundities from the law of wood. The might of the fusion of 3 profundities from the law of wood is much stronger than when he unleashes all his profundities without the fusion profundities. At this moment, Duan Lingtian had an inexplicable obsession with fusing the profundities from the law of space. After all, Duan Lingtian had been chased by Du Guwen for a long time and had taken a long detour to return to the Heavenly Pool Palace. For this reason, it took Duan Lingtian 3 months to return to the Heavenly Pool Palace. When they arrived near the Heavenly Pool Palace, Duan Lingtian even asked Su Lang to personally welcome them. However, Su Lang did not come out. Instead, he asked Lei Ying to accompany him. Under normal circumstances, Duan Lingtian would not have asked Lei Ying to help him. However, with Duan Lingtian's relationship with Huan even if Lei Ying did not give Su Lang face, she would still have to give Huan face. Huan position in Lei Ying's heart was not inferior to her son. Lei Jun Huan was a divine beast, the Thousand Phantoms Ice Fox. As long as she did not die prematurely, she would have a bright future ahead of her. Lei Ying, naturally, knew the benefits of having a good relationship with someone like Huan. Thank you, Pavilion Master Lei Ying. After returning to the Heavenly Pool Palace with Su Lang and Lei Ying, Duan Lingtian thanked Lei Ying profusely before they parted ways. There's no need to thank me. Lei Ying smiled faintly. If you're free, you should come to my place to cultivate. The environment there isn't any worse than Su Lang's place. All right. Duan Ling Tian nodded. After Laying left, Duan Ling Tian followed Su Lang back to the cultivation place under Su Lang's tutelage. Soon after, Su Lang brought him to his own cultivation place. When Duan Ling Tian entered the main hall of Su Lang's cultivation place, he discovered Huan and his senior brothers and sisters were present as well. Even his second senior brother, Lu Ji, was present. Brother Ling Tian. Although Huan had mentally prepared herself for this, she could not help but run up to Duan Ling Tian and throw herself into Duan Ling Tian's arms when she saw Duan Ling Tian. Duan Ling Tian hugged Huan tightly as well. He could clearly feel Huan's rapid heartbeat. Silly girl, I'm fine now. Duan Ling Tian patted Huan's back comfortingly. After a while, he finally pushed Huan away. At this moment, he discovered that the gazes of everyone in the hall were on him, causing him to feel slightly embarrassed. Before you returned, I've asked them to investigate this matter, Su Lang said. He looked at Duan Ling Tian and said, some time ago, someone saw Han Yunjin walking together with Lei Ying's son, Lei Jun. If the two of them joined forces, they might be able to offer something that would tempt Dugu Wan and Dugu Wu. Before Duan Ling Tian returned, not only did Su Lang not stay idle, but he also sent a few of his disciples to investigate and found some suspicious things. Lei Jun? Duan Ling Tian frowned slightly as he looked at Huan Lei Jun was Lei Ying's only son and second disciple. He was ranked ahead of Huan in terms of seniority and was considered her senior brother.
Yes.
Su Lang nodded. At this moment, Hu Mei said, little junior brother, there's something you don't know. Lei Jun and Han Yunjin aren't close. No one has seen them walking together before. However, when we went to the Tidal Temple, several people saw them walking together. Of course, they didn't do it in public. If we hadn't investigated this matter, we wouldn't have found out about this. Hu Mei said, why would two people who weren't close to each other suddenly walk together? Duan Ling Tian nodded. He was naturally able to discern that this was a very suspicious point. However, in his impression, he didn't seem to have any enmity with Lei Jun, right? I don't think Lei Jun and I have no enmity with each other. Under normal circumstances, he wouldn't join forces with Han Yunjin to kill me, right? Duan Ling Tian said, that's true. At this moment, Duan Ling Tian's sixth senior brother, Hong Fei, opened his mouth. The pair of beady eyes on his fat face narrowed. Little junior brother, sometimes, it's not because you have a conflict with him that he wants to kill you. There can be many reasons to hate a person. For example, just like me, I can kill you because I'm jealous that you're better looking than me. Of course, this kind of situation happens more often to women. Hong Fei said, sixth senior brother, what are you trying to say? Duan Ling Tian asked bluntly. Before you returned, fourth senior sister and Huan had returned to the merciless Celestial Emperor's residence a few times. Twice, they met Lei Jun, Hong Fei said as he looked at his fourth senior sister. When Huan before he continued, according to fourth senior sister, although Lei Jun tries to suppress his emotions in front of her, she can tell that he likes Huan from the way he looks at her. Now, you should know what I'm trying to say, right? A hint of coldness flashed in Hong Fei's eyes when he finished speaking. Naturally, Hong Fei's gaze was not directed at Duan Ling Tian, but at Lei Jun. Is that so? Duan Ling Tian narrowed his eyes when he heard Hong Fei's words. His eyes gleamed coldly as he looked at Hong Fei in disdain. If Lei Jun really liked Huan he did have a motive to kill Duan Ling Tian. After all, Huan had always acted like they were glued to each other. If Lei Jun really liked Huan he would not allow Duan Ling Tian to be by her side. Although Duan Ling Tian was not that kind of man, he could understand what kind of man Lei Jun was. End of chapter. Chapter 3303. During this time, second senior brother, third senior sister, sixth junior brother, and I have also been asking around. At this moment, Duan Ling Tian's fifth senior brother, Ouyang Chi Fei, added, a few days before Duguan and Dugu Wu intercepted you, Lei Jun had gone to Han Yunjin's cultivation place to look for her. During that time, someone saw them leaving the Heavenly Pool Palace's estate together. We suspect that they went to find Duguan and Dugu Wu at that time. Not long after they returned, Duguan and Duguwu made their move. How can there be such a coincidence? Ouyang Chi Fei said. Unfortunately, we don't have any evidence. Even if we're 100% certain they're behind this, we can't use the Heavenly Pool Palace's punishment to deal with them. Hong Fei usually had a smile on his chubby face, but at this moment, his expression was so gloomy that it seemed like it could drip water. Second senior brother, third senior sister, fourth senior sister, fifth senior brother, sixth senior brother. At this moment, Duanling Tian finally found out that his senior brothers and senior sisters had been racking their brains to investigate this matter for him during this period of time. His heart trembled when he heard this, and he felt a warmth in his heart. Teacher hasn't been idle as well. During this time, he tried to sound out Pavilion Master Lei Ying. He even went to look for her to pick you up today. Humei looked at Duanling Tian and said, based on teacher's observation, it seems like Pavilion Master Lei Ying doesn't know about this. Of course she doesn't, Su Lang said. If Lei Ying knew about this and supported Lei Jun's actions, he wouldn't have gone to Han Yunjin to ask Duguan and Duguwu for help. That's right. Duanling Tian nodded. He agreed with Su Lang's words. If Lei Ying knew about this, she would have stopped Lei Jun. Otherwise, she would have helped Lei Jun. With Lei Ying's help, Lei Jun would not have exposed his intention to kill Han Yunjin. Lei Jun went to Han Yunjin because he didn't have enough money to ask Duguan and Duguwu for help. Therefore, he went to Han Yunjin to ask for help from Duguan and Duguwu. Lei Jun, Han Yunjin. A cold light flashed in Duan Ling Tian's eyes. Big brother Ling Tian, I'm going to ask Lei Ying for an explanation. At this moment, Huan said in a deep voice. She finally understood why when Huan wanted to follow her to the cultivation place under Lei Ying's tutelage. However, after listening to their explanation, she finally understood why when Huan wanted to follow her to the cultivation place under Lei Ying's tutelage. When she learned that Lei Jun was the one who hired the assassins, her eyes flashed with fury. Her celestial origin energy surged out of her body. If Lei Jun was here, she probably wouldn't be able to control herself. Huan don't be rash. Duan Ling Tian grabbed her hand to stop her. Big brother Ling Tian, he wants to kill you. Even so, her voice was so gloomy that it felt like it could drip water from it at any moment. Huan was usually very gentle in front of Duan Ling Tian. This was the first time she had lost her composure like this. Naturally, Duan Ling Tian did not blame her for losing her composure. After all, he knew she had done this for him. Huan we don't have any evidence. Duan Ling Tian shook his head and said, moreover, we don't have any evidence. Even if we did, we'd still need to discuss how to deal with this matter. Rashly showing up here will only alert them. It's useless. As soon as Duan Ling Tian finished speaking, he sent a voice transmission to Huan again. Huan I know where your father is imprisoned in the Heavenly Pool Palace. Your mother is most likely imprisoned there as well. Now is the time for you to fall out with Lei Ying and her son. Your identity as Lei Ying's disciple will be very useful in rescuing your parents. Duan Ling Tian persuaded Huan Big brother Ling Tian, although I really want to save my parents, I can't ignore the harm Lei Jun has caused you. Huan said in a low voice. Don't worry. I'll think of a way to deal with Lei Jun and Han Yunjin. As soon as Duan Ling Tian finished speaking, a cold glint flashed in the depths of his eyes. Little junior brother. Humei looked at Duan Ling Tian with a hint of surprise in her eyes. How did you manage to break free earlier? You didn't really kill Duguan, did you? As she finished asking, the gaze Humei looked at Duan Ling Tian was filled with dense bewilderment. What? Third senior sister, don't you believe me? Duan Ling Tian asked helplessly. It's not that I don't believe you. It's just that this is too unbelievable. Humei smiled bitterly. At the same time, Su Lang and Duan Ling Tian's three senior brothers and senior sister turned to look at Duan Ling Tian. He's strong, but he's also careless. I'll summon the two celestial Emperor Ning dragons from my little world and send them to his back. Then, with the help of the Pine Willow Divine Tree's godly image phenomenon in the training ground for titled celestial lords in the Tidal Temple, I killed him. Duan Ling Tian shrugged as he recounted the story he had prepared beforehand. Naturally, this was the only story he could come up with. First of all, Even if some people were jealous of the two Ning dragons, there was nothing they could do about it. After all, it was difficult to snatch the two Ning dragons. Secondly, the pine willow divine tree's godly image phenomenon was not something they could snatch. Celestial Emperor Ning dragons? The pine willow divine tree's godly image phenomenon? Upon hearing Duan Lingtian's words, everyone, including Su Lang, felt as though they were listening to a heavenly book. Finally, Duan Lingtian said, "It seems like teacher, senior brothers, and senior sisters want to see it as well. In that case, I'll go out and show it to them." As soon as Duan Lingtian finished speaking, he walked out of the room. Huan naturally, followed Duan Lingtian out of the hall. She hugged Duan Lingtian's arm as they left Su Lang's cultivation ground. Swoosh! In just a blink of an eye, Duan Lingtian brought Huan to a distant place. With just a thought, he summoned the two Ning dragons from his little world. Teacher. At the same time, Duan Lingtian looked at Su Lang and asked, "Why don't you give it a try?" Su Lang narrowed his eyes when he saw the two Ning dragons. Then, he said, "Old Seventh, I know a thing or two about Ning dragons. Based on your Ning dragons, they're at most 3 talents or 4 phenomenon celestial emperors, right? Are these two Ning dragons strong enough to kill Dugawon?" Su Lang was skeptical. "Teacher, why don't you give it a try?" Duan Lingtian said with a smile on his face. "Teacher, why don't you give it a try? I'd like to see the strength of little junior brother's Ning dragons as well," Hong Fei urged. Hong Fei urged, as if he was watching a good show and didn't mind blowing things up. Swoosh! Su Lang did not hesitate. In just a blink of an eye, he seemed to have transformed into a sword. The sound of a sword whistling in the air rang in the air as he charged toward Duan Lingtian. "Teacher, I'm ready," Hong Fei reminded Su Lang. Then, Duan Lingtian ordered the two Ning dragons to attack Su Lang. Roar! Roar! 2 deafening roars reverberated in the air as Duan Lingtian teleported the two Ning dragons behind Su Lang. Then, they joined forces to attack. Su Lang immediately regained his senses and retreated in a fluster. However, the two Ning dragons' attacks had already reached him. In the end, he had no choice but to defend himself with all his might. However, Su Lang had been too hasty in his attack. Even though he had used his full strength to neutralize the attacks of the two Ning dragons, he was still sent flying into the distance. He cut a sorry figure. Naturally, this was also why he had been careless despite Duan Lingtian's warning. Otherwise, he would not have ended up in such a sorry state. How powerful! When the two Ning dragons collided with Su Lang, a terrifying shockwave swept out in all directions. Although the onlookers had formed a protective barrier with their celestial origin energies, they could still feel the shockwave from the shockwave. "Teacher, you're too careless." Duan Lingtian smiled faintly and put away the two Ning dragons. In the next moment, under the watchful eyes of the crowd, he condensed the godly image celestial body of the pine willow divine tree and enveloped his entire body. Pine willow divine tree. I remember that Fan Chi, who was killed by little junior brother, was Han Yun Jin's junior brother. He was a pine willow divine tree, right? Hu Mei, when Wan and Hong Fei looked at each other and saw the shock in each other's eyes. At that time, I felt that little junior brother's method of dealing with Fan Chi's main body was too simple and too direct. Now that I look at it, there is a deeper meaning behind it. When Hu Mei saw the pine willow divine tree's godly image Dharma body, she couldn't help but ask Duan Lingtian, "Little junior brother, your pine willow divine tree's godly image Dharma body was condensed after you killed Fan Chi, right?"
Yes.
As Duan Lingtian nodded his head, the pine willow divine tree's godly image avatar gradually faded away until it completely disappeared. Hu Mei said with a sigh, "So, Fan Chi's death actually helped you achieve your goal. However, I'm afraid he didn't expect you to be able to defeat him. Not only that, but you were also able to use his main body to condense the pine willow divine tree's godly image Dharma body. If he had known earlier, he wouldn't have dared to challenge you to a death match even if someone held a knife to his neck." Hu Mei's eyes shone brightly as she continued to say, "I really didn't expect there would be another person who's capable of killing a titled celestial emperor after eldest senior sister." Eldest senior sister? Duan Ling Tian was stunned when he heard Hu Mei mention the great senior sister again. He was shocked by Hu Mei's words. He had not even met eldest senior sister, but she was capable of killing a titled celestial emperor. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.